Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time you're listening to this. It's Do You Expect to Talk commentary time, and we are returning with the best version of Thunderball.
No, alternative version of Thunderball.
Yes. What's the name of the that producer guy who just owned the rights for Thunderball and nothing
Kevin
else?
McClory.
Kevin McClory. the film that Kevin McClory can never let go.
Anyone who we'll touch on it during the film. Those of you out there who've listened to us for years probably heard it all in the first run. Those who've picked up since probably won't. We'll touch on it probably if we don't, and you're interested. The reason there was an alternative Bond film, the reason there were rights snafus over Casino Royale, and all that is touched upon in the Robert Sellers book, The Battle for Bond.
Yeah, definitely. I can really recommend reading that one.
It tells the whole story. It is based around the whole Thunderball story, but the lawsuits around it finished around the time they got the rights to Casino Royale back. So there's a bit on that as well. But yeah.
So the film we're doing is Never Say Never Again.
Yeah.
Came out the same year as Dave's favourite Bond film, Octopussy. So
Yeah. They moved it to 3 or 4 months later to keep it out of the way of that behemoth.
it was like probably tagged as the Battle of the Bonds, really, wasn't it?
It was, and Octopussy won it. They both did really well. I mean, they both grossed more than, say, A View to a Kill did. But Octopussy won by 20-some million. Octopussy grossed in the 180s, this grossed in the 160s. But again, A View to a Kill was in the low 150s. So both very, very decent performers, but not among the series peaks, if you like, in terms of performance. But then I don't think this was a peak era for Bond. The late Roger Moore era, like I say, it's just all very safe, all very repetitive, and two men really who shouldn't have been there. But at least with this film, for all of its flaws, it suited an older Connery. You know, that him going to a health farm and actually spending most of his time teaching and things like that. Whereas you've got Roger Moore in the official series just not facing reality at all and fucking everything that moves. You know, and it's just like, you're too old. You are too old for this. Well, Connery's too old. Connery's too old as well. But at least this suits an older Bond.
At least he's like with Kim Basinger, who looks completely his age match. Yeah. So anyway,
she's mid-30s, but in by Bond girl standards, that's like being 74. Though, so.
Oh god. Anyway, yes, I should introduce everyone. Obviously, if you're regular listeners, you would know it's Rebecca Andrews and David Bond. And yeah, I'm surprised by this movie's length. I could have swore it's a good solid 90 minutes, but it's really not.
Well, no Bond film is 90 minutes, and I mean, again, Becca's the most indignant of us about this, whether it's a Bond film and all the rest of it. I get all that, but
No,
it's still styled as a Bond film, and no Bond film's 90 minutes. And I would
Not even
say,
Quantum.
I would say a minority are under 2 hours now as well. So, and also it is based on Thunderball, which was a longish Bond film, less so by the standard.
The novel's quite meaty as well.
Well, I haven't read the novel. That would be a surprise for Fleming because his books are normally quite zippy. But
there's a lot packed in there, definitely. But yeah, well worth a read for sure. I mean, it's not like a weighty tome, but there's a lot to digest.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I say absolutely. I've not read it, but I have read plenty of Fleming, and I've read about half of Fleming, I think, to be honest, which is only 7 or 8 books, I suppose. And I think about half of those I liked, and half of those I didn't like. I find him a bit in and out, but when he's good, his books maintain a real momentum. You fly through them quite quickly. And what he does better than most authors, for me, is the way he finishes a book. The last 20, 30 pages of a Ian Fleming James Bond book is normally very, very good. If you enjoy one of his books, you tend to pick up the next one straight away.
No, is that quite good at like sort of cliffhanger type things like on?
It's just not.
Yeah, it's kind of where it comes from, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's not necessarily cliffhangers, although there are cliffhangers in Bond, but just the whole of the end of Casino Royale. It's not a cliffhanger, but it is about
I want to
Bond's
read the next one.
resolve to like go and get the arm that holds the whip and stuff like that, and you just go, right, what next? Oh, a load of racist bullshit. All right, fair enough. Let's hope the next book's better.
You have to kind of look at it in the context of when it was written. Obviously looking back on it, it doesn't excuse it, but obviously looking at it's written by many past generations, and you just have to think of it in context.
Maybe it was a class thing though, but I think he'd have been an outlier at the time. I honestly struggle to believe that you read Live and Let Die and that would be reflective of how anyone with the skills would write a book in that era. I think it's pushing it. I really do. But there you go. So yeah, I haven't read Thunderball, but this is based on the book Thunderball, effectively, as opposed to the Eon film Thunderball. Some subtle differences, and it does give the filmmakers problems as they go through it, because every decision that was being made was having to go through Sean Connery, Irving Kershner, Jack Schwartzman, the producer, Jack Schwartzman, late husband of Talia Shire. I think he's passed away anyway. And it had to go through a team of lawyers, because it was like, are we going to get any problems from Eon if we put that on the screen, and so on. And it just stymied the film terribly.
Well, at least it gave us Edward Snowden.
It gave us Edward Snowden. It gave us
Max von Glockenspiel.
Max von Glockenspiel. It gave us a truly filthy blacklight joke.
Oh my gosh.
And it gave us, and this is where Becca will disagree, but I think this is Becca's prejudice against the film coming out, because I honestly believe this is the better Largo. The Largo in Thunderball is
little from column A, little from column B.
The Thunderball one looks kind of more iconic because of the eye patch in that, but he's bland as shit.
I think it's kind of more formidable, but I do like this time around. Carson Maria Brandauer, I forgot his name there for a minute. I do think he's the more cerebral of the two, whereas I think Largo in the original is he's definitely the more physical. He's, in terms of like a physical match for Bond, I think he's really up there. You think he can do some damage, but this one, I think he's definitely more cerebral. Definitely, he is very hands-on as well. He's one of the more hands-on Spectre agents, who rather than has his minions do it for him, he's actually head of the operation and goes out there and does it himself. Obviously, with an army of men.
I personally,
he's more cerebral, definitely.
I think it was the first sign in the original series that the formula was just starting to get a little tired. I like Thunderball, but it was just like, not really Goldfinger, is it? Do you know what I mean? It was like you've brought along a villain that looks the part, but he's not that interesting.
No, definitely.
Whereas Brandauer in this is kind of menacing.
He's quite scary, and there's an unpredictability to him as well, which I think adds a bit of edge. Of danger, and you don't quite know what he's going to do. So, but it's a great performance. But I just think Adolfo Celli is a little bit more iconic. But that's just my personal opinion.
Iconic,
great, but I'm all for like the cheesy 80s music and Fatima Blush's outfit. And
you've hit on the word iconic. The thing with the Adolfo Celli one is you would recognise his silhouette. You see the eye patch and all the rest of it. But when you actually focus that what's beyond the physical, I don't think he's that impressive at all.
The voice dub doesn't help that. I think
no, they're obvious.
But I see. I agree.
Whereas you honestly think that the Largo in this film, like he would slit Domino's throat without a fucking thought.
Yeah, you sort of think, oh god, he's a little creep.
The great thing about this Largo is the fact that he is just like he comes across as just an utter slime ball. But just with the hint,
really sleazy.
But there's a line later on where as Dave referred to, where he's sort of like when he said, "Then I slit your throat," and he says it's such casual kind of like he alludes it with a little bit. No, that's a bit naughty, and he just says it casually, almost like sort of as if it's like like it's nothing. And it's just and then
it's dangerous, isn't it?
And then he goes back to being a bit of a slimy kind of European. It's like you just think, oh god. Yeah,
makes your skin crawl.
I think the biggest, again, it's not going to have the Eon touches, and we'll talk about that as we go through. But if I had to focus on one other thing, I think is superior in the original is the original Thunderball is actually a beautiful looking film, and I'm not sure this one is.
No.
But there are things about it that are better than Thunderball. There's only a handful of things, but they are there. But shall we get into this film anyway?
we will pick them out as we watch it. So
yeah, okay.
Apologies, listeners, if I'm coming across a bit echoey. I'm watching it in my living room, so it's the only place I can watch it.
With the Queen and Samuel L. Jackson.
It's the only place I can watch a DVD at the moment.
He's watching it at Blenheim Palace. He's watching it somewhere big.
Yeah.
Well, you won't be at Blenheim Palace because that was on lockdown after the theft of a gold toilet. Randomly.
Well, yeah, obviously someone watched...
And suddenly a Northwestern Scally's moved in. And the toilet's gone missing. Yeah,
right. I first heard that story because my girlfriend shared like that thing with me. So because we always watch Austin Powers, and she's and she always said like, I want a toilet made out of solid gold, but it's just not on the cards, is it?
Well, now you can for £150. It's yours.
Don't ask where I got this, love.
But I've got the gold toilet.
So there we are.
Merry Christmas. Nice
police are looking into it, but they've got nothing to go on.
God. So funny.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll do this on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3.
In Becca's case, it really doesn't matter because she's on the DVD anyway. She'll be half hour ahead of us within.
Oh, will be.
Well,
I can always pause it.
I'm DVD as well, so.
Orion logo, the O forms now.
Yeah.
No, I'm just about there.
Orion is just spelling out.
That's so 80s, that.
I can hear that in my head, the music.
I'm going to have to turn up the music.
I'm hearing the wrong music in my head. What's the music with the one with the horse?
When you first see that, you feel like, oh my god, I've got a really shit copy.
Horse?
Don't you?
This sounds like a dodgy VHS. I remember. I've got the sound off at the moment.
It does.
It sounds almost slightly warped.
Like smooth jazz.
Yeah, it does sound a bit like that.
You are in a room.
I can sing along, look, with the words.
And this is meant to be dead glamorous, isn't it? Gliding shot against like a swamp.
It is. This would have made a pretty effective pre-title in an Eon format.
Yeah.
I'd go straight to credits with him being like stabbed or something.
You only live twice, Mr. Bond.
Right.
I don't know why they went with this version of the song because it's awful.
Yeah, check out the alternate version.
It's on the if it gets via YouTube because I haven't even cut a trailer yet because we haven't recorded the show. I haven't got any clips yet until we.
Got to do it in future.
But it's going to go to it. It's always weird. I always find it funny that people who like listen to this know more than we do. Like anyone listening to this now knows how long this show is because they can just look at their phone and we don't and things like that because we haven't done it yet.
You've got the edge.
But the trailer music should be the Phyllis Hyman version, which is just nicer. This one is Lani Hall, who was married to Herb Albert of Herb Albert and the Tijuana Brass, and it's just not very good. Director of photography Douglas Slocum.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about that fact.
Yeah, Douglas Slocum is best known for he was the one that worked with Spielberg, wasn't he?
Yes. That's why it looks so good.
Oh, I momentarily got him. I have got the right person. I for a moment I got mixed up.
You noticed the double speed there, where you sort of strangle someone.
Yes.
Blowpipe, chop.
It's like speeding up. Judo chop.
For a moment, I was like, did I mean Douglas Slocum? I did mean Douglas Slocum. Because for a moment I got mixed up with Jeffrey Unsworth, who shot Superman the movie. But no, I did mean Douglas Slocum. He lived to 103 years of age.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Most invigorated.
Most invigorated, yes. Right till the end.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't get this sequence at all. Because he does seem to kill people here, and it's a training exercise.
He does have a license, you know.
Yeah, I know, but like, who would sign up to do a trade? It's a silly way to lose your life, isn't it? I don't know about the transfer you've got, but this film needs restoring. A few shots look all right. Some of the shots look really muddy and sort of second or third generation. And
it could do with a 4K restoration.
The negative needs a clean. I wonder.
Yeah, really nice 4K restoration or an 8K restoration.
If you had put all the Eon touches in this film, it wouldn't be remotely as disliked.
Yeah.
I think
A lot,
it's kind of the grid, isn't it? So
a lot of the problems is obviously it's a remake of Thunderball, so what's the point? Partly, fans are very defensive of the original series, the proper official series, of course, and this film was a clear and present danger to that. And Kevin McClory's not popular with Bond fans, understandably. So I think this is always like, no, this isn't real. And
it's not a real
personally,
Bond.
I don't feel as strongly about it. Yeah, it's not actually a real Bond film. I'd agree with you on that. But the real Bond
No,
film,
a little bit name, definitely.
but I'm sorry, the real Bond film this year was fucking shit. So I'm way happier with this. But
Well,
unfortunately,
it's all a matter of opinion, isn't it? So
it doesn't make it good. This M is dreadful.
it
Do come along.
is a little bit like that.
He's really bad.
Well, he looks younger. That's the problem. He looks younger, doesn't he? That's the thing. Is he? Oh, he's meant to be a younger one. This.
Well, he has come in with new ideas, hasn't he?
Oh, right, yeah. Again, it's never like Bond out of touch
Well,
with society, isn't it?
we were used to like Our Money Penny and The Office we knew and loved, and the pre-title music and the gun barrel. And it's not only has it not got any of that, but what it replaced it with, that curtain of 007s at the start, looks bloody awful. So it's not the
It's like,
best.
we're only going to let you use this. You've got the logo, and that's it. That's all you're going to do.
Yeah.
And they just
But
make the best of it, and it's clear that it's a real passion project for McClory at the time. So.
But I understand why it's disliked on that basis, but I am more convinced by a 50-year-old James Bond being played by Sean Connery than I was by Roger Moore trying to pretend he's still like a complete pussy man.
35.
How much makeup is he wearing though?
He's got quite a lot around his eyes, hasn't he?
He's living that good life.
My illustrious.
Maybe it's supposed to kind of look as if he's had a good life, eaten too much, drank too much.
Well, he hasn't.
Not eating too much,
I-
but
I-
rich food, things like that.
I like how the only thing he's willing to sort of cut out is the white bread. Nice Money Penny in the fetching blouse.
I like the bow tie.
Dates it terribly though.
I
Right.
think the ruffles is a little bit like
He's only just. I might be a second behind or something because he's literally only just walked in to see her. He's just approaching the table now. Just put his hand on the table. That's where I am.
Yeah, we're a little bit ahead. But miles
But
ahead,
then,
sorry.
funny enough, Moneypenny's not a big deal in the books, is she?
No, it's kind of more, and you've got his other secretary, Aurelia Ponsonby as well.
Yeah. And he did drive Bentleys in the book.
Yeah, so this is really harking back to, this is probably like the more faithful Fleming.
Still
There
in
is a
pretty
good joke
shape.
coming up.
Then he's going to go inside and it'll be still in pretty good shape. I think that's meant to be an echo of the same thing, but it actually plays like a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, the joke. If you're talking about the joke that's coming up, they've just copied it from Porridge.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
He did the same joke in Porridge. It's just Ronnie Barker saying, "What from here?"
From here.
Yeah, I think that's...
Fatima incoming.
Didn't Sean Connery get like same guys who write some funny lines? Same guys who wrote Porridge to write some funny lines.
Yeah, it's Dick Clement and Ian LaFredi.
In The Rock or something, or I don't know. I can't
Oh, I don't know if they worked on The Rock. It's quite possible because they did do some films and stuff. They said about this film that they didn't do. Everyone assumes all the funny lines is them. Well, clearly that Porridge one is because it's literally one of their lines repurposed. But some of what they did isn't what you would expect. Like that little pre-title we've just seen, and we'll call it the pre-title because that's what it is, even though it wasn't followed by a title.
Yeah.
They wrote all of that apparently, and it's like they just went through lots. I mean, it's rumored Coppola did a pass at the script. Francis Ford Coppola, that is, because I'm aware Sofia Coppola's been a big name for the last 20 years as well. But Francis Ford Coppola took a pass at it. What was the guy who wrote on? I knew all this at the time. Lorenzo Semple Jr. is the credited writer, but it just went through loads of them. And a lot of the rewrites were beefing up this lady's role, which is why her role in it just seems a bit messy and all over the place because they were just throwing in some stuff because she didn't have a big enough role.
Which lady's that? What, Fatima?
Fatima, yeah.
Yeah. Again, she's another like good part. She is a good villain in this though.
It's Edward Snowden.
I mean, some of the casting choices are quite good because he does he's a competent Blofeld, and he seems to sort of rock the holding.
There's another woman in a bow tie there. What is it about this era? Yeah,
it's the era of bow ties.
It's not used a lot in it, and I imagine they've taken the because he's not. Because Largo was number 2 in Thunderball. He's number 1 here, and he's Supreme Commander, or whatever they've called it. They'll say it in a minute. But obviously the naming convention was...
In that shot there, he looks a little bit like a puppet from Joe 90, but not Joe 90. I think maybe Joe's dad.
He looks like Parker without the hat.
Yeah.
I can't see that, sadly.
The guy on the wall, with him on the wall there, he looks like he's the coach of the women's Winter Olympic team in Switzerland or something, doesn't he?
He could be.
He's German's women's Olympic team coach.
Women's team.
Yeah, that's what he looks like. Yeah, she's great in this. Her role is not as good as it should be. It's messy, but if you've got to redo Fiona Volpe, who's like one of the best characters, one of the best femme fatales in the entire series, henchman if you like, she's one of the absolute best, and she follows it quite well. What is it with this woman's hair look?
It's the 80s.
It's the 80s, yeah.
I know.
It was a different time.
The time that fashion forgot, yeah.
Now, I've seen osteopaths and stuff like that, and we never got into this kind of exchange.
No. But did your osteopath have hair like that?
To be fair, I didn't finish up shagging my osteopath. So.
Yeah, but were you ever like Sean Connery in a bad wig?
No. Funnily enough not. And they don't do it as violently as that. That's what I mean.
No. Maybe if you go and see a chiropractor, perhaps. I don't know.
But this makes more sense in being at the clinic than it does in Thunderball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Thunderball just feels like he's there at a spa, and he's like, yeah, I'm just here to have a bit of a wind out.
It's not even referred to, really, why he's there.
I'm just here to shag the staff.
Yeah. Now, this guy, maybe it's because I know him as Brad in Superman 3, but I can't imagine him ever being hired to do anything. Do you know what I mean? He's just got jobless waster written all over him.
Yeah, he's just Brad in Superman
Whereas
3.
in Thunderball, the guy did look quite professional. Do you think you get that at the average health spa? Full fucking open fire like that?
God.
Thought I'd surprise you. Funny.
It's a top secret weapon.
I see. How's he managed to pull just by pulling out some passe out of his luggage?
All he did.
He's Bond, you know.
He picked up some papers, had his back done by her, and now it's like, well, no, he is just taking a dinner. She's just a goat's cheese, lovely. You know. He's already laid that out, because if he's just put the case down, it wouldn't be like that. It'd be all over the shop, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because he's even got one individual bit already laid out for it.
Oh no, that's not the only thing our evening's going to finish up with a mouthful of. Throwing away a cigarette like that's just not going to make any difference. You've already stunk your room out, you silly.
Yeah. I'll go turn it down. Meanwhile.
Right. Barbara Carrera's just walking over to Brad now. We've got to keep telling Becca because Becca's on the DVD, but our listeners would expect nothing less, would they?
I'm just not in a position right now, unfortunately, to invest in.
To be honest, would this be top of your list to invest, considering you've got the film and don't even like it?
No.
I mean, to be fair, I am a bit of a completist, but is never
Yeah,
say
I will look to
is
do it
never
eventually.
is never say never again. Really, a film you'd really go full Blu-ray with. I mean, if you already got a DVD, it's like, oh, I'll do.
I think somewhere I might have the Blu-ray of the original, not the original, 60s Casino Royale, and that's not even a real film. It's not even a real film. It's a mess.
I've had that in the past. It's one of those things I pick up now and again and then sell and think, no, I need to have it because I'm a completist. And then I get it and go, this is shit, and sell it again.
It might have been an anniversary edition or
I think
something.
I've sold about 3 copies of Casino Royale 67.
Oh, there you go. Never Say Never Again, 30th anniversary.
I did upgrade, actually. I did have Never Say Never Again on DVD and then...
Never Say Never Again. Right. 15. I was region 3. Not sure about the extras though. Does it say anything? None, probably. None.
Can't remember. To be honest.
Oh, commentary with Irvin Kershner and Stephen J. Rubin.
I will have listened to that probably, but
that's just on here.
I was still trying a lot harder when we started this podcast, so I will have done every fucking special feature in existence, by no doubt.
I like how on the back of the DVD it says inventive, imaginative, tension-filled fun. That's crazy.
Karachi Medical Gazette. Yeah.
I know a good restaurant in Karachi. Oh yeah, no, special features commentary of director Irvin Kershner and James Bond historian Stephen J. Rubin, the Big Gamble featurette. Sean is
I
back
think
featurette.
they were quite open. They were quite open about what a horrible process this was making it, and I don't think he did a film again after this till I don't know. What's the next film he did? I think it might have been Highlander.
Yeah, he took a break, didn't he?
Depends when In the Name of the Rose was, but yeah, he had a couple of times in his career where he had a bad experience and just didn't make anything for a while. Although it doesn't show in his performance, he looks way more engaged than he did in Diamonds. Fatima gasps. Oh yes, W7.
Blu-ray's £15.
I didn't pay that much for it.
That's probably why.
I suspect it was a limited edition to start with. It might have been a limited edition to begin with, i.e. a limited run.
Yeah,
so, and then they've run out, and it's never again. Blu-ray. It depends what you're looking.
Oh, sold by Sweden. That's probably why, from Sweden. With love.
Okay. You can get
the Swedish version.
If you go down a couple of entries, you can get the Blu-ray for $8.35.
Yeah, I'll have a little look. Let's see.
But that's Shag Nimolsny.
That's the German version. I could buy Nikti Nirki Nikti. I don't know where that's from. I'd probably pronounce the hell out of that one.
Just at the Pax Ropes bit.
Oh yeah, there he is.
I'm not there yet. He's still looking at a bed at the moment. He's just lifting a mattress.
He's just about to break a neck of someone who looks like
he's just found a packet of cigarettes and a box of matches, or a little book of matches.
Yeah, he's just about
to. We've gone to the weightlifting equipment.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are.
Yeah. He should just be about to break the guy's neck who looks like he's straight from a 70s sitcom. I won't be surprised if he actually was in a 70s sitcom.
Might have been.
I think he probably was, actually.
Now, given the fact that I'm watching this without any sound, this is actually kind of moving kind of rather well.
It is, yeah, it zips along.
I think it's probably a little bit better paced. Don't get me wrong, if I had to keep one of the two films, I would keep Thunderball. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But throwing the film away on the basis of what it isn't, i.e. it's neon, not a neon film and all the rest of it, does cover the fact that, or obscure the fact that this is one of Connery's better performances in the role. I mean, he doesn't look as good as he did in the 60s, obviously, but he's so much better than he was in his last 2 official entries.
Definitely, he can still hold his own for sure.
And it's paced better than Thunderball.
I wonder if this scene with Pat Roach is it meant to be a bit of a Goldfinger, a Goldfinger sort of homage. Because obviously you see a scene next to there's some bars, and you've got the scene where they face off in Fort Knox, and there's a scene where lobs a gold bar against.
No, I know what you mean.
An object, and it kind of bounces off his chest, and I wonder.
Meant, but I do now. I don't know, because the director's Irving Kershner, and I'm thinking, was he a Bond fan? Do you reckon he even watched any Bond films in prep? The thing
maybe?
is, because it was a different studio, I think they were trying to sort of make it different.
Trying to get away from that, yeah.
Yeah. Because McClory had a stupid idea he could run a series.
You noticed that Pat Roach is actually sort of pulling the same sort of stance he did in Raiders. The same sort of fighting boxing.
Yeah, that's true.
It reminds me of like turn of the 18th and 19th and 20th century bare knuckle boxers.
Oh, right.
That kind of stances.
Kind of lifting...
You're the expert, Dave.
Kind of lifting his palms up, sort of like going, come on.
Right, he's just pulled the guy out around the corner again. That's it, but yeah. Just do that. Okay. Pat Roach doesn't belong in a Bond film. There's something not quite right about this.
I think as he
sequence is all right.
I think
that is so clearly not Sean Connery.
If he was done up,
yeah,
he feels like sort of done up because he's not. Because in Indiana Jones films, he's not gone as he is. He's always like dressed up to a degree.
Yeah, it's not a bad sequence. It's fine. Stunt work is. That's the first time I've ever really noticed. To be fair, so I don't like the joke it finishes on. But... Surely you could have just killed him by now, Pat. You're drawing this out a bit.
I'm surprised there wasn't a quip.
And I'm surprised that no one's called the police.
Yeah, you'd think, hold on a minute.
No one ever calls the police.
Nah.
That said, it is probably in the middle of nowhere, so...
Actually, they've actually thought this fight through. It's multiple stages in different areas. Kitchen equipment, the gym area, and then kitchen equipment, and then it will finish off in, like, the pharmacy or whatever it is. Talking about badly staged action, I watched First Blood earlier, which is a good film, but the action in First Blood is nowhere near as good as I remember.
Oh, was this in line up to watch Last Blood?
Yeah, I'm prepping for that. I've watched the first two. I've got to watch obviously the next two because I'm reviewing that one. And I just want some idea. But there's the bit where he breaks out of the sort of police station at the start of the film. The hand-to-hand combat is really bad. You just tell they're not real punches, and it's they're pulling punches, and the camera's kind of in the wrong place several times and things like that. It's not that well directed a film. I still really like First Blood and recommend it to anyone. It's worth seeing, because considering Stallone was playing Rocky around that time, it was probably, I think it was he would have shot it just before he shot Rocky 3. Such a different performance, and lots of little things like the way he moves. He's skittish. I mean, the man's got PTSD as we'd understand it today, and he's skittish, and his eyes are widened, and little things like that take a bit of thought. Yeah, so this guy dies with a face full of Bond's piss.
Takes the piss, doesn't it?
Yeah. I've had to notify the local police. It's like, would that be a Double O's biggest worry?
Yeah.
Give a fuck, it's part of the job.
Go ahead then.
Covering for me is part of the fucking job. And to be fair, I was attacked, you prick.
Yeah, it's self-defense, if anything.
If you are, I don't tend to treat it as as part of the series. In that, if you said to me how many Bond films did Sean Connery did, the answer is 6. If you want a one-word answer, and I don't count him as one of the M's and things like that. But if you were to count him, he's the worst M by a mile. There's Safi's dad, and he was in
Oh yes.
And he was in Raiders as well. I think, not Raiders, Empire Strikes Back. He's the one that finds Luke and Han when they're out in the snow on Hoth the next morning. Actor passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
At not a particularly advanced age. Have we ever seen... I always refer to him as Brad, so I clearly know him best from Superman 3. Have we ever seen him in anything else?
I'm just going to look that up, you know.
Yeah, quickly.
We're having the same thought, were you?
Yeah, sort of.
Let's have a look.
I know the name. I say almost without looking. I do have to look, but like the moment I see his name, it's familiar to me. Gavin O'Herlihy. Yeah, okay.
He's definitely been in stuff. Willow, he's in Willow.
Selected filmography.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to IMDb now because I'm on Wikipedia at the minute.
He was in the Second Descent film.
Okay.
Midsummer Murders.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
Jonathan Creek.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he was born in Dublin. He was described as Irish American. I think he's more Irish than American. He hasn't done anything since 2009, although he's filming something now. Whether he's had time off or he's just done stage, I don't know.
He's also in the third.
Is it a holiday?
I think he's also the bad guy in the third Death Wish film.
I've never seen those.
The third Death Wish film, I think that's the one where you get Deanna Troi topless.
Was that Deanna Troi?
I'm sure she's in one of the Death Wish films. I think it's 3.
Which one? Which one's Deanna Troi? Is that dark hair?
Oh, the actress is fucking hell. I follow her on Twitter. I've blanked on her name. It'll come to me because I don't want to look that up. That's pathetic. Having to look that up. It'll come to me.
Death Wish 7. I wish I was dead.
Oh, wait.
Marina.
That's my experience.
Marina
of Death Wish,
Sirtis.
literally.
Marina Sirtis. That's who I'm
Oh,
thinking.
I don't think we've done it along here before.
She's another one. She plays like she plays an alien, but she plays like an Americanized alien, if you like. But when you actually hear her in real life, she's cockney as shit. And she actually was in the last couple of Star Trek films she was in as well, because she sort of stopped being able to do her own accent.
He was in Sherlock Holmes as well.
I do like these elaborate sort of assassinations, like no throwing a snake into a car to get exactly the result you wanted.
Yeah. There's a dodgy effect. They've just dropped the missile out of the plane. It just looks of its time. Back to the Future 2 looked a little bit like that, and its flying effects as well. It's okay for the era. It's not horrific, but it does stand out. And again, like the missiles in Superman 3, looks a little bit like that.
Yeah, I think it's standard at that time, isn't it?
Yeah. But how about she definitely plays it more batshit than Fiona Volpe, doesn't she?
Yeah,
she's more crazy.
She's more OTT.
Yeah. But I think that was almost covering for what wasn't in the script. You know what I mean? She's the one person who was in this who just says she had the time of her life. You know, you hear a lot of negatives about this film, but she adored being in this.
She probably made the most of it. She's like, oh yeah, I'm working with Sean Connery. I'm in a Bond film, and
I'd still rather she'd been in the official series, because this doesn't quite count. I'm not as strong on it as Becca, but like I broadly agree with her. This doesn't quite count. But whereas Becca's like, it doesn't count at all, I'm like, it doesn't quite count. But
it's a film with the character called James Bond in it, so therefore, in the greater scheme of things, along with Casino Royale 1960s, it must count in the full lineup. But in terms of like Eon Bond movies,
don't
no.
Casino Royale 67 at all. That's different. but then we'll cover it one day because we'll run out of commentaries, and when we do, we'll do Casino Royale
We'll have to
67.
do that. Oh god.
What we
Thankfully,
will,
Woody Allen is the saving grace.
what I think we will do is
That sounds really bad, but
we've got the Terminator coming up next, and that's 6 films, so we'll do a commentary after that. It's my turn, and I know what it is. But after that, we got John Wick, which is only 3 films, so we'll probably forego it and do another one after Fast and Furious. So there'll be like 12 films between Bond commentaries or something.
leave a gap.
Yeah. Well, doing them 3 weeks apart is really silly. This is another one. The kids don't even look. That's like Superman 4, that is, where he flies down the subway, the London Underground as it was, and no one fucking looks.
I was like, oh.
Because the director hasn't gone, can you just turn your head that way? The kids didn't even look.
Yeah, this does look a bit dated now, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Like there's no you do miss the the Eon sheen.
It doesn't have that at all. But then plenty of Bond films of this era had the odd scene or odd bit that didn't look that good. But you're sustained through by the memory of the song and the look and the titles and all that sort of shit, which this doesn't have. But then I have to say, Maurice Binder's work wasn't exactly tearing up fucking, any trees at this stage. Go and have a look at the title sequence to Octopussy. It's fucking bollocks as everything he did in the 80s. License to Kill was okay, but I think the only reason I don't mind License to Kill is it's a slightly different colour palette. It's got a sort of peachy or redder colour. The License to Kill titles, with occasional bits of green and stuff like that, whereas all of his other ones around that era were like models stood against black. Oh, that looks like a model, doesn't it? That looks so small.
It really does.
The US Air Force thing has just landed. That looks like it's about, but it doesn't look a big enough model. It looks like it's about 18 inches. I don't know what this is. Obviously, they're going to fly right over to it, but even that, it depends whether they touch it in shot. I think that could have been forced perspective. And now that's just a section of it. Do you know what I mean? That one that landed was inches long, I'm convinced. We've got quite a long way into the... No, we haven't. It's only half hour. I was thinking we're quite a way into this film without seeing Domino yet.
Yeah, but didn't Thunderball have that?
Well, it takes a while for him to go to the Bahamas, but I think they're in the Bahamas by now in Thunderball.
Did she pop up in an earlier scene, just a brief introduction kind of thing?
No, because she was a photo, wasn't she? We got all the... No, it wasn't Jack Patachian, that wasn't it. It was Francois Duval. And we saw him. And when the sort of briefings were given to the agent, there was a picture of her with him in the pack. We'd never met. Look at that compared to... I mean, I know it's not MI6, but think of that big MI6 set in Thunderball. There's none of the... I think the thing is, Thunderball was designed by Ken Adam, which helps. And it was the peak of the series in terms of its popularity. So there was a load of love in it. And it was also 60s made, and the 60s has a wonderful sort of almost timelessness to it. It's not timeless, it's very of its time, but it dates really well, whereas this hasn't. This is basically the plot now. This is in Thunderball, this would be signal your acceptance by ringing, what was it? 7 times at 6 p.m. Big Ben or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, 7 times at 6 p.m. Well, 6 times at 7 p.m.
Which would just really confuse a lot of them. Let's go what?
Well, you're not really paying any attention, are you? At the end of it, you'll just go, there's something different there. Oh, right, okay.
So, must have miscounted.
Yeah, that's it. You're not going to make anything of it, I don't think. As I say, we did...
Oh, no.
We started as a Bond podcast. That guy in the middle there looks like it could be an elderly Charles Dance. Do you know what I mean? There's something about him that's that filter.
It's
you
the
can use
nose,
on
isn't it?
focus.
It could be Charles Dance. He might be a time traveller, and we don't know.
Yeah, what he's going to film this in 15 years' time.
Yep.
Yeah. We did obviously Never Say Never Again in our original run. We did music and 2 commentaries, and it would have been after Octopussy, which I think was film 13, so it would have been 14th, 15th, 16th, probably episode 17 of the show, something like that. And we will have recorded it, I suspect, in January-ish 2016. That's where you find it. And that and Thunderball, which was our 5th episode, are where we tell most of the story about the whole Kevin McClory thing. And we just, for anyone who's not heard it, you'll notice a difference going back and listening to our 5th episode. We were very different, but it was starting to sound a bit like us by then. And certainly by Never Say Never Again, we're at the end of the Roger Moore era, and that's us. There's been running jokes since and little changes to the format and stuff, but it's us. But if you can bear to go back and listen to the early days of us, you will get the whole story behind this. Because they had a bit of a nightmare filming this, but it's 3.5 years ago, so nearly 4 years ago, and I can't remember all of the details myself. But Sean Connery reportedly had a miserable time making this. But because he was, he was one of the, I don't know if he is one of the producers, but he was certainly involved in the production process more than he'd ever been for Eon. So he didn't have that fuck it attitude he had on like Diamonds. He was much more, he felt responsible for making sure this was done right, which is why he seems to give a pretty good performance. And it's very different from his Eon performances. He's playing it as an older man. There's an amused calm about him, whereas the 60s version had this sort of hint of seething and violence under the surface.
You sort of had more verve, definitely, but yeah, this is kind of more like he's been there, done that.
It's a less primal version.
Still effective, though. He knows how to play it just the way it needs to be played.
It's a compliment.
For sure.
He's thought about his portrayal and changed it over time. Yeah. Roger Moore in 1985 was still playing it like Roger Moore in like 1977.
But then Rog is a legend, so...
Yes, but he was miles too old. That's all I'm saying. It was just like, you can play older if you acknowledge the character's older. But if you've still got him banging every 28-year-old in the room, then you're probably saying, well, that's not really realistic, is it? As a character trait.
I think we just seen introducing to Domino now. He's having a bit of a perv in the dance studio.
Well, I've got Connery listening to Robert Pickup talking, Ronald Pickup, the actor. I always thought this was meant to be Tanner, but it's not. It's some nobody. I don't know what he's even doing in it. It would be a sort of ripple effect. What's the American story on how the damn things were stolen? That's where I am. Edward Fox is another actor that was sort of born in late middle age, I think. He's just never really changed. I thought that watching Rambo earlier, First Blood. Brian Dennehy. Brian Dennehy's in his early 80s now, and like
he looks the same.
He just always looks the same, more or less. Oh, do come along, Bond.
Do come along. Oh.
Here we go. Right, Largo has just sat down, and he's opened out some papers. 37 minutes and 18 seconds in. I'm not on the Blu-ray. I'm on a rip because of where I'm sat. Right, now the studio's opening up and he's about to have a perv, Chris. So
that's how far we are on the DVD and Blu-ray.
I thought you were on a Blu-ray though, because yours seems to be playing at PAL speed. You've gone further ahead. But anyway, you might want to pause for a second. Basinger is dancing with a not at all camp male dancer.
Yeah.
Who's got the legging?
We're on the Tears of Our Love.
Yeah. He's even got the leg warmers on.
It was the 80s, you know.
Well, they were very popularised by things like Fame, I think.
Yeah, and then we had the kind of the what was it? Not Green Goddess. What was her name? The fitness instructor lady. I can't remember what she's called.
Lizzie.
Yeah, I was
That's
going
the
to say
one.
you always had the aerobics thing in the morning TV, didn't you?
Which is just bizarre. I find that really odd as a section.
It's like people that sort of do it just before they go to work.
Yeah, but it's only like, well, I would imagine most of the audience for that are not those that work, to be honest. Certainly not full time.
And then you had Mr. Motivator.
Yeah.
I've got Mr. Motivator on my
Hey
list. Still
gang,
going.
is like her own bum bag.
Yeah. He was dating Tessa Sanderson at the time. It was really,
Oh, really?
incongruous. Yeah, really like,
Oh.
right, fair enough. Tessa Sanderson, for anyone listening in a different country, was a 1984 women's Olympic javelin champion. But she wasn't, for most of her career, she wasn't the best javelin thrower in this country. Fatima Whitbread was, but she did win it in '84.
I'm paused the bit where he's like giving her the stone necklace thing.
Arabic, the tears of Allah. The story is that the Prophet wept for the barrenness of the desert. He's sort of like nuzzling her ear and telling her this.
Yeah.
So you're in the right place now.
Okay, that's right. Proper slime ball.
Yeah, I think that's quite a cheap-looking accoutrement as well. I've never known what to make, just from a purely sort of shallow and base level. I've never known what to make of Kim Basinger. I've never found her that stunningly beautiful, but she's clearly striking. She's clearly like, you can tell she was like, she could have been a model and things like that. It's not. She's far from unattractive, but I've always found her a little bit bland.
See, I've always like had this almost like bias. Like I was a little bit kind of a slight dismissiveness of her because I always think, oh, she's a model who's acted, but really she is an actress.
Yeah, LA Confidential.
And I was trying to think. She's probably. I always had this thing. Well, she's one of the better ones. She's actually like proved herself to be better than that. But then I always had that kind of bias of assuming that she's a model first. So. But yeah, she's
no, it was just that in the 80s she was like, I can't think who this person would be now in modern society, but if you had to name a fit actress, Kim Basinger was who got named.
Do you know what I mean? She had the right name as well.
It was like, I don't know. Oh yeah, I saw you cop off with someone last night. She was no Kim Basinger, was she? It was like that name you referenced.
Yeah.
I look at her and go, I don't get it.
But you know what I also think it is? It's also the name. She had a good name she had the name of a hot model / actress. Do you know what I mean?
I
think Cindy Crawford sounds like that's a strike.
Mr. Evangelista. They all had great names that generation. Christy Turlington and stuff, yeah.
In the meantime, I quite like the Q scene.
I quite like this cube.
Well, not cube, algae.
Well, I guess at this point, Desmond was a bit of a legend, wasn't he? So they wouldn't have responded well to this guy, but I quite like him. And of course, we're now used to having seen different Qs, so it didn't matter. It doesn't matter to me now.
Now we've got a different Q entirely.
Well, we've had
one that's younger than Bond.
We've had 2 Qs in the official series since Des.
But now the dynamic has changed.
Yeah, it's not as like combative, isn't it? It's a lot more like pals.
These two are, yeah, I'd say so. Like, oh, thank God you're back. We've been at this a few years. It's playing on them both as veterans.
Oh, here we go. Nigel. Has Nigel appeared for you yet, Dave?
What, Q? Oh, no, you're running ahead again. He's still talking to Q.
Mr. Bean.
He'll
be there in a minute, don't worry.
He's just handed his watch. He's looking at his watch,
I'm there.
So pause it for a second.
Okay.
Again.
Excuse me, tippy tapping.
It's it's not thing to sort of have him introduce as someone who's got a cold as well.
It is a strange one, yeah.
It's a bit odd, isn't it?
And he did the usual, no, not that. That's my lunch.
Don't touch that.
I was just about to say, that's the same joke, really, isn't it? What's this gadget?
Yeah.
It's exactly what it looks like, actually. Yeah.
This is a card base, not a test facility. I don't know. That's an entirely different franchise altogether.
We've now just cut to an establishing shot of the Bahamas.
Nigel.
Well, we haven't got to that yet because it's still an establishing shot. We're now at street level with Sean. And obviously, as soon as I see Nigel, I'll tell you. They've even shot there on quite an overcast day.
Still looks good though.
You're not going to make that place look terrible, are you? But there you go. This is a handy encounter.
Oh,
He's just
good.
meeting the tallish, fit woman who wants something about 6'2", 190 pounds, with brown eyes, which is kind of forward, isn't it?
With the sexy story.
I have no problem with empowered women saying what they want, but like, fuck me, was that forward?
And I'm at the bit where Johnny English is now.
It's basically is Johnny English, isn't it?
There he is.
Mr. Bond, oh, Nigel.
Damn.
It's awful. It's awful.
Imagine if
It is pretty much.
Imagine if he played it like Blackadder, just someone who's just really cynical about everything.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you're not gonna fuck everything in moves, are you?
The thing is, whenever I see Rowan Atkinson playing anything other than like his signature characters, I find him very distracting. It is like, if you think of The Lion King, he played that toucan in it, didn't he? I can't remember what the character's name was.
Zazu.
Right, Zazu, that's it. Well, in the remake, that's voiced by John Oliver. And actually, I preferred the remake voice just because it's not as distracting. It kept taking me out in the original one because Rowan Atkinson has one of the distinctive voices.
Yeah, it's quite distinct. I wonder if because is John Oliver perhaps obviously, he's probably better known. He's more of a celebrity in America than he is over here.
Yeah.
I wonder.
He's not.
He's still, quite relatively well known over here, but he's perhaps more of a celebrity.
It's a similar social class. It's a similar quality of voice. It's just not quite. It didn't stand out quite.
Plus, like with Rowan Atkinson as well, he's got that pedigree of each comedy that we associate him with. There's not so much. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know too much about him, to be honest.
Right.
John Oliver, sadly.
No, I've seen lots of it. I watch a lot of these late night clips. I don't watch episodes, but it's like most days I'll watch like a closer look with Seth Meyers and things like that if there's been one.
Has Seth Meyers ever been funny though?
I find Seth Meyers brilliant. I think he's superb.
No, he's really good. Really funny.
I've seen clips. I think I don't see any fucking humour in that at all.
No, I think he's superb. Obviously, some of it might depend what your base politics are, but I think it's absolutely superb. A closer look. But anyway, he's the only one I watch regularly. In that, like, occasionally I'll see like a sketch from one of the other ones, like a or something, and I will watch it. But he's the only one he's the only one that, like, when it pops up, I watch it. But I only watch a closer look. I'm not interested in him interviewing anyone. I'm not interested in jokes. I'm not interested in features. None of that stuff works for me. But his little 8 to 10 minute closer look segments are really, really good. She's showing off here, isn't she?
Well, if you could do that, wouldn't you do that too?
Put on a bathing gown, a bathing dress or whatever.
But in a very seductive, sexy way.
Barbara Carrera, let's look up. She's 73 now, which makes sense because this is 30.
Still looks fabulous.
I don't even know if she still works. Well, she does look like an older lady now, but you can tell she's got like model features. She's aged well. She hasn't done any on-screen acting since 2004. So what's that? 15 years ago. So she quit in her late 50s, basically. 73 minus 36. So she was 37 when she made this. Cool. I'm all yours.
Yeah, we also get the good line of...
hey, are we about to get to the really funny sex scene? Oh, no, we're not there yet. Sorry. Go on. Sorry, what?
You get that sort of good line about, like, but my martini's still dry.
Yeah. I think we've just had that line. She skated into him. She's just thrown, like, his kit at him. They're about to have sex. This is where the funny sex scene is. And during review, you couldn't remember it. So... You're about to.
No, I remember. Yeah, I remember now. Obviously, many years on.
You that couldn't remember it. Chris couldn't remember it. It's just the way it's shot. You don't see anything. It's a fucking PG film, but it's just the way it's shot.
By the way, I think the guy who looked a bit like Charles Dance is he's been in a few Stanley Kubrick films, like Clockwork Orange and by London.
I need to say, I want to watch it. We'll do a Kubrick series one day. We'll definitely do a Kubrick series and do a Clockwork Orange. The only thing when you do like Kubrick,
I see what you mean with the head just pop out of them.
well, I've not got again. You've started skipping ahead again.
Yeah.
They've just fallen down to the floor, and we've cut outside to have a look at waves because you need to look at that sort of stuff during sex scenes. There we go. Look at this. It's the way it keeps cutting away. It's just like, oh, it's so funny.
It's like
her leaning back there. It's like, oh yes.
It's like 15 minutes later.
Yeah. It should cut to the ocean and the fish putting on like a nightcap and switching off the lights, going to bed. And now they're diving, but I don't mean in a sex way. I mean they're now underwater.
Yeah, it's sort of like making a joke about the boat rocking as well.
Yeah.
That's a bit naff. Anyway.
At least they de-emphasised the diving a little bit in this film because it was too much in Thunderball. Or rather, it's too much now in Thunderball. It wouldn't have been in the mid-60s because it would have had a wow factor, the underwater photography. But like now, when underwater photography is not difficult at all, and you watch Thunderball, it's 25% underwater, that film. And that's what makes it so slow.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to kind of like cut around it, don't you?
Yeah, but it was made for a 1965 audience. It would have worked then. It's only in context of now. We're not going to go, wow, look at them underwater. Isn't that amazing? So without that wow factor, it's 25% people swimming around very slowly.
Everything's slow. I mean, they struggle in this film. I mean, one of the weak points of this film is the fact that its climax actually ends in one of those bits, and you see a fight with the main villain.
Yeah.
Like, with that, so you don't really comprehend what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, she gives a bon voyage to Bond. Is this like this meant to be like a shark signal? Yeah, it's
basically that's what she's done. Yeah, it must be frequency. Must be like a type of sonar or something.
I mean, yeah, but would it be easy just to attach like a bomb device or something?
Are you new to Bond films, Chris? I mean, is it just occurred to you now? Why don't they just fucking shoot him?
Chris, you just don't get it, do you?
Just don't get it.
That's not an efficient use of resources.
I'm going to leave him in a highly escapable situation and then assume everything went to plan. What?
They want it to look like an accident. They don't want to look it. Yeah, that's all.
Overly elaborate, easily escapable, exotic death. Oh no.
Yeah, but again, I like that. I want to make it look like an accident. What, like a British secret agent sort of gets murdered on foreign soil? I wonder. As opposed to what? Make it, he fell down the stairs and broke his neck.
Yeah.
He fell over.
Our major Moscow contact has passed away, but don't worry, it was a freak yachting accident.
A freak yachting accident, yes.
I mean, they're looking more suspicious if it did look like an accident, wouldn't it? I mean,
it's like Blackadder. He's accidentally brutally cut his head off whilst combing his hair.
But it's like if you're like an international spy like James Bond, you think you could literally like get killed at any moment by anyone. Like it could be anything. You just kill him and then all right. Just leave no trace, and people assume, oh no, it's some random assassin.
I disagree. I think you're safe because you're James Bond. You'd be all right.
Yeah.
I love the way it looks like he's forgotten about the shark there. He's doing something and the shark gives him a nudge. Depth charge.
Oh, blooming hell, drop the thing.
Take some air, and he's about to swim off and have some more sex. On the plus side, he's been underwater all the time since he last had sex, so at least he's not going to smell of sex.
Oh, she's caught something.
6'2", £190.
Said he'd catch you later.
Yeah.
What a catch.
We're not going to be able to do anything, though, because your hook went right through my knob. So fingering only, I'm afraid. This is all right so far. This film hasn't done anything terrible. The M's bad. The Nigel Small Fawcett character's not great. But we got a decent Largo. We've got a decent femme fatale. We've got double denim.
Oh, God.
Cringe.
Well, is it really double denim? It's just dungarees.
It's not. Well, no, it isn't.
Awful dungarees.
It's just dungarees. To be fair,
Well,
though,
they're quite trendy at the moment.
Not amongst 50-something white men.
They're not amongst Sean Connery in the 80s, but
I dare say it'd look good on anyone, really.
Yeah. She even looks batshit going up the stairs, doesn't she?
I mean, she's literally just like I reckon there was like probably.
Outfits are amazing.
I reckon there was no character written for her, so she's like, "Oh, fine, I'll just make one."
I think that it's exactly that, Chris. I think she's trying to fill the gaps, and actually, some of the gaps have been filled retrospective. Well, during all of this, there were rewrites going on and all that sort of shit as well. So she's reacting to less of a role than we're actually seeing, if you know what I mean. That shot of her there, her dress like that, was in a lot of the promotional materials. She sort of stood looking pretty much at the camera there, and they've just got into the elevator.
I wonder how much influence she had on the costume, though. Because, like, you know, because it's a big part of the character, she's very sort of like...
Well, I don't know about later when she's dressed as, like, a mixture of Kryptonian villain and Liberace, but...
Certainly the Liberace aspect.
See, this kind of stuff reminds me of like something like Shot in the Dark.
Small Fawcett here, which basically is a small penis joke. Yeah. Why is he indulging this conversation? This guy's nothing to him. He's just bugger off. I'm being blown.
Excuse me.
I'm not being blown yet, but I've got high hopes. It's going in that direction.
I'm sorry, somebody's just come up.
Aye, he needs his cock. I love the fact no one panics or runs and they just carry on shagging.
Yeah.
It's like, you think the place might be evacuated. Not just continue with the vinegar strokes and we'll see you in a while.
Yeah, it does remind me a little bit of Shot in the Dark. The whole, like, sort of trying to assassinate him and just sort of escaping accidentally.
Sounds obvious, because I think anyone listening will have heard of the Pink Panther films, but we've got a few younger listeners. If you want to go and watch the Peter Sellers films, there's really only about 3 of them that are worth... Well, maybe 4 of them are worth it, because the last couple, he wasn't well, and the very last one, there was a lot of... He's not really in, it's all clips. But the first Pink Panther film, he's like a supporting character in. That's just called The Pink Panther. But the sequel that they made with him was called A Shot in the Dark, 1964 film, and it's absolutely magnificent. If you like that, then by all means go for Return of the Pink Panther. And then Pink Panther Strikes Again has a brilliant first 10 minutes, and after that it's not so good. But there's 10 minutes where he goes to visit Dreyfus at the lunatic asylum. And it basically, Dreyfus has gone mad because of Clouseau, but he's recovered and he's well. And basically 5 minutes with Clouseau on the site and he goes batshit again. It's really funny. So here's Disposable Lady A.
Yeah, Disposable Lady A.
This is Paula in Thunderball, but she's a little bit more defined in that one, just a bit.
This is like who will be killed off later on.
Yes, basically.
You think if like with an older Bond, they might have like an older Phoenix later?
Well, I don't know how old Bernie Casey is here. He's younger than Sean Connery, though. Bernie Casey's dead now, I think. Let me look. Bernie Casey died about 2 years ago. In fact, 2 years ago.
Recently, wasn't it?
It'll be 2 years ago next week, actually, because we're recording. We're recording this on the 15th. It'll come out on the 22nd, and basically, so 3 days ago, from the perspective of listeners, it will be 2 years. He was 78, which means he was in his mid 40s here. He played football. I didn't really know that. Didn't know much about him because obviously that sport's not big in this country, and it's kind of doesn't sound right in our mouths calling it football, but it is. It is for you guys, I know. Let me just look. He was born in 1939, so he's actually only 9 years younger than Connery.
Yeah, he just looks younger. Like
fun. Yeah. He's just about the same generation. It's a slightly wider age gap than, say, Roger and Patrick McNee. They're stood by the telescope now, looking out into the bay at Domino, and suddenly it's gone soft focus. It looks like the fucking Red Shoe Diaries now, all of a sudden, or a Rene and Renata video.
Save our love, my darling, save our love.
Voice of an angel.
The woman in that video is not the woman singing the song. They got a model in to do it or something.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But they didn't get Renee.
No, they left him in because he was such a hunk. Yeah. Italian born, but from the Midlands, and there was just some nightclub compere put them together. Strangely enough, they didn't have a wildly successful career after that song.
It's just an odd thing to happen, isn't it? It's just like, how?
Yeah, he lived in the Midlands. He was like Warsaw or something. Do you know what I mean? They weren't actually a particularly glamorous pair. Talking of glamorous pair, this is where she thoroughly enjoys being sexually assaulted, isn't it?
Yeah, by random strangers. Yeah,
the whole tone of this is wrong. It's actually played really light, so I wouldn't get too hung up on it. But
it's a bit dodgy.
It's just the fact he goes real Richard when he's looking at her. He's like, lifting the towel up, and he's like, "Oh, blimey."
He just looks so out of place though, in like a grey polo neck.
Yeah. It's almost like if you had a private club and spa and stuff, it's like what you would dress the porters in or something.
Yeah. See, I'm watching this in muted. I'm kind of expecting he's kind of pulling off like a really odd French accent, French European accent. Madame, I am here to give you your massage.
Your back rub.
No, hard or soft massage. She wants it hard. I love that he lifts the towel here. It's like, God, blimey, look at that.
So I'm just thinking of like Austin Powers, where he just goes like a sensual massage. Lower.
How was that for you? Lower. How was that for you?
Lower, baby.
There was no oil in that. I don't know what you got out of there. That wasn't but that's this production. They were like, "Oh, don't worry, no one will notice." Now, I would think you'd know within. You can see his tattoo there. You would think you'd know within seconds this is not a professional masseur. He's just vaguely rubbing their back. Now his knob is getting very close to her hand, isn't it?
See, I just watched a bit where
he's walking up and down her back with his fingers. Look.
That's the bit I've just laughed at. I laughed the bit where he just grabbed her arms and just shook them.
Yeah, he's just done that now. He's doing that now. I was actually laughing at how close his hands were. Again, you're watching a power version for this because it keeps speeding on. He's looking her right in the face now. He's just put her head down. That's where we are. Yeah, he just walked up her back, but his knob keeps heading in towards where her hand is as well. This is just all kinds of wrong.
All kinds of dodginess.
You have slight visions in the. He's just copying the language that was used to him when he was at Shrublands. I don't know if it's called Shrublands in this, but yeah.
I think it probably was Shrublands, wasn't it?
Don't know if they referred to it by name. It is that in.
Yeah, I think you did call it Shrublands in this.
Okay.
There was a slightly different building, wasn't it? It wasn't Citrix's house like it was in Thunderball.
I don't know.
Let's have a look. I know we tried to go there on a JBR trip, but...
Well, so you can all stand there bitching and going, it's not even a real
It's not even real! But no, I think we tried to kind of add it onto one of our trips. But no, we're quite an inclusive bunch. But yeah, there was something on, we couldn't go. I think a wedding, perhaps.
She's just found out she's been sexually assaulted and she's shocked. And now she's remembering his touch and she's smiling.
Yeah.
She's like, cheeky devil.
Why, that guy's got a nerve.
You'll see her at the casino in a bit anyway. Just before his game of domination. What's she wearing now?
I don't know, but it's funky. Oh, he seems to be a little bit mean to this guy.
Yeah, he is. It did say Casino Royale on that. It said Casino Royale Monte Carlo on that sign, by the way. But, yeah. This is probably... Because I didn't know the difference between official and non-official at the time. And I remember there being more hype around this film on the sort of things I would have watched. So, I don't know, kids' TV and all that. There was reference to when this... I remember when this film came out.
Bond with a Luger.
And all I could remember was this, where he put that thing in his hand and just said... And when he came back in and just took it off him at the end, that was like a really funny joke.
The thing is, though, like, you're not quite sold on the fact that he is, like, respected or someone. If he was respected, you'd be like, oh, yeah, fine. But you think...
He's security there.
Isn't he just like a...
He's just like, I don't know, concierge, maitre d', whatever the term would be in a casino. He's just there to meet, greet, and all the rest of it. And of course, he's gone barging in without
an invitation.
An invitation, that's all.
No, you kind of just like envision like the scene coming up with all the arcades and things like that. That was kind of like meant to be like a reflection on like, well, this is the new game thing now. You know, this is like this is how it used to be done. Now, we're in a new age.
This is our hip, funky replacement Bond series, which is why we've cast this young Turk.
Well, it's Bond finding his place in the world.
That's what McClory wanted his own Bond series, so he starts it off with a 53-year-old man. It's like, okay, thought this through, have you? I always think of Countess Liesel when I see her here. She looks like Cassandra Harris. What do you think, Becca?
Yeah, a little bit, I think. I was trying to think who does she remind me of?
I can see a lot of Cassandra Harris in her there.
Yeah, definitely.
She doesn't look like her generally in life. It's just the way she's done up here.
Yeah, she does resemble.
The hair and all that.
We noticed sleeping. There's your accent, Countess.
So your knickers.
Sorry, knickers. So's your accent.
That's what Roger's thinking.
Yeah.
Here we go, yeah.
Dear, dear. But no, she's very beautiful, definitely.
Yeah, she's just walked into the room and they're now going through arcades and that looks like Timothy Dalton behind her.
It could be Buffon Bond.
Yeah. Right, he's just...
this is like the most cringiest
My
scene.
name is Bond, James Bond. He's just encountered her and introduced himself. That's where we are if anyone's racing ahead.
What's going to follow is like the most 80s game of battleships ever.
So I remember like seeing this room as a kid, thinking that's like coolest rooms ever.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just full of arcades.
Like still now, pretty cool.
Yeah, but it would be naff. I mean, if they were still doing that in GoldenEye, like Brosnan playing Rebel Assault 2 on fucking somehow, it just wouldn't work. It's not dated it well. Although the vaguely 3D effects from the sort of the game of itself look okay. Domination, it's all right. I always have to work not to call it Stratagema because I get confused with the similar plot in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
It's quite similar though.
Yeah, though that was a weird game. You had all these sort of things on the end of your fingertips, so it just seemed to be waggling your fingers. They don't really. This is the first time we've really seen any great link between the two of them, Fatima and Max. Particularly as they've known since he was at the clinic that was James Bond. Wasn't quite sure how, because we didn't see any recognition software. He must be. He's later in his career here. He's just vaguely well known to underworld figures, I suppose.
Well, yeah, he will be. I mean, he goes around sort of saying his name at every place. So
yeah, but I'm trying to give it that pass.
Yeah,
like he's still a fairly secret agent, and he becomes known on a mission and all the rest of it. That's different. But here we go. Domination. I designed it myself. Basically looks like an early Dyson fan. Just a big open frame.
So the idea is to kind of like shoot each country, shoot as many countries as you.
I don't know, right? It's just opening up now. As I say, we keep losing time with each other, but they've just literally starting the game now. The board in front of Connery's just opened up. So I'm just about to see what it is they do, and I don't think I've ever been that sure. This thing vaguely moves around and then screens highlight, and I don't know if they're shooting those blocks and they're racing to shoot each other or what. I'm not quite sure how this is actually working.
I think it's the first person to get all, but you can take out the person.
Oh, you can block, so it is a little bit like battleships in that you aim somewhere and you've almost got to interject on where he's aiming and block and stuff like that.
But you got to pay attention to some degree in case they like send you a missile and you got to block it.
Yeah. So they pick a part of the world. Spain. There we go.
Of all places. Is the other one like China or somewhere? Or?
Well, we're about to find out. I can't remember now. I've seen this for a while. I won't have seen this since we were.
It's not one that I watch on a regular basis, I must admit.
I don't know. Thing is, I'll probably watch the same half a dozen regularly. But, I mean, I'm fond of a lot of the series, but it's amazing how often, like, Majesty's License to Kill go on.
Japan, there you are.
I think if you take the last 5 years and say which one have you watched most, I reckon I've seen License to Kill more than any other Bond film.
I think that's right for me as well.
Yeah. I mean, I watch Majesty's a couple times a year, and I think
Majesty's is probably for me.
But if you go, which one have you slung in most often? I would say it is probably License to Kill.
I think probably because it's been on TV quite a lot as well. Well, when I started to watch, during like sort of the 90s.
It's just the most watchable. I'd watch it more often than Casino Royale. It's just a bit zippier somehow. Casino Royale is objectively a better film, and I love it. But Casino Royale, License to Kill is just one I can always watch. Could always watch it.
What's he playing for now?
Sorry?
What's he playing for now?
I don't know. We're about to find out. I'll tell you where I am in a minute because we're about to see the globe is spinning again, and they are now playing. Oh, it doesn't say, or it didn't say, or I didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
42,000, whatever it is.
Japan.
Probably for the rest of the world now.
Could be.
Rest of the world. I have to imagine it like Street Fighter style. Spain. Japan. India. Things like that.
This is only a year or so after the Wrath of Khan, though, where you had that Genesis Planet effect, and that was like absolutely groundbreaking work from Industrial Light and Magic. We're only 5 or 6 years on from Star Wars, where like showing that trench run in a sort of computer format was like incredibly groundbreaking. So technology wasn't that advanced at this point. Pain level 80%. Right. Connery's just fallen to the floor.
Yeah, I've just seen that now.
And Dominant, we've just seen Barbara in shot because basically cram her in because we haven't got much for her to do.
Yeah, she's kind of enjoying herself watching.
What's she called in this? Remind me.
Fatima
Blush, isn't it?
Fatima Blush.
Yeah.
He's great as a villain.
I think so.
He's so slick.
He's very slick. He's very slimy. You just think.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not ridiculing anyone's opinion. It's completely valid to feel the other way, but I look at it and go, "I'm sorry, the original Largo doesn't match up to this. He's an eye patch. That's it."
I quite like the ballroom dancing scene.
What, that's coming up in a bit? Yeah. Connery properly learned to dance for that because he's not a natural dancer by any means.
No, fun fact.
He worked really hard for that, apparently. It's not a very long sequence, but he worked very, very hard for it because he said he's not a natural dancer. For all this, Connery moves like a panther in that. He's not a very natural mover at all, by all accounts. He has
Well, you wouldn't know it.
He has to work at it, whatever he does.
And
No, you wouldn't know it.
it's one of those rare things where Bond is kind of shit at first at a game, but then kind of like you see him kind of pick it up.
Yeah, usually he's excellent at everything.
Yeah, straight off the bat.
Not this time.
I too.
You never get Bond completely misunderstands the rules either, do you?
Yeah.
Like he goes, 17. Like, we're playing with 21.
I too.
Yeah, that's bollocks because I played a game. Oh no, I got mixed up with something else. Don't worry.
Twist.
Twist and twist. Balls. Twist. Everything on 69. My favourite number. Lady Mud Christmas Eve.
He does give it to charity, doesn't he?
Yeah, Lady Mud Wrestlers indeed. Imagine if that was a real charity. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
We're really struggling to make our dream come true.
Yeah.
It'd be like if there really was blind dogs for the guides. If you're a girl guide, we can give you a blind Alsatian. Or Labrador or whatever. A tango, yes.
I can just see like sort of like the folks at Strictly like Bruno and Len just there going, Seven!
Strictly Bond. Maybe for the 20th anniversary they'll get Connery back on too.
Connery won't cross the road to do anything now, and he's quite old and infirm.
Craig were all going like,
It's very
Bond,
lucky
you're just a bit too stiff, darling, for me. You
survived
need
the
to...
typhoon as well.
The funny thing is, well, funny's not the right word because it's rather sad, but when a statement came out from him, we were lucky to survive and all the rest of it, I thought, not a chance in hell did he write that. The reason is I saw photos of him on his 89th. There was a photo released and I thought, that's just got dementia written all over it, that picture. So he doesn't look like he's quite with us anymore.
No, I mean, there's not. I've not seen many pictures of him now, but
And to be fair, there's no reason we should know.
mm.
He's a private citizen. It's his health is not our business. But obviously, when photos
He's
are
retired
released,
as well, and
yeah, it's not our business. I'm really not looking for to prove he's got dementia or something. I'm really not. But I see photos and shots of him now and again, and I'm thinking, I'm not convinced you're quite with us anymore. But again, not our business. And hopefully I'm mistaken. Hopefully it's just the way the photos come out or something. I wouldn't wish him any harm at all. But even not moving when the weather hit the Bahamas, you're thinking, this is an elderly, infirm man, and I bet that encouraged that thinking. It was like, well, we're not really well enough to be moving around.
yeah. Plus, also, you kind of start. I think once you retire, you kind of start
what will be will be.
Yeah, you start. It tends to be what you basically sort of die shortly after you retire because your body just sort of goes, oh, I've got no reason to do anything.
There is some truth to that. Although some people retire when they're retired for 35 years, don't get me wrong, but your chances of something going wrong go up a bit. Depends what your job is. I know people who've retired and they fucking needed to because their job was so stressful.
Yeah, so watching this without the sound, you kind of sort of read the performance, the body performance, and I don't know, I can't pronounce his name, but Klausbar, the
Brandauer.
Brandauer. He's just really, really great at being subtle about it. He's not overstating anything, but you can just sort of pick up on his character just from the way he moves.
Just had a friend message me, nothing to do with this film, but they're in London, and they've just had a 50 milliliter G&T, £12.60.
Bloody hell!
Fucking hell!
It must be the best tasting G&T ever.
No, it's London's.
It's Hyde Park. They're at some event.
I was gonna say, where are they?
Hyde Park.
That's probably why.
Some event there. She did say earlier. Don't know what it is.
No, proms was last night, wasn't it? So.
I don't know what it was. She said earlier. She just said, I'm on my way to wherever it was. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Let's have a look. Radio 2, live in Hyde Park.
Probably that. I don't know.
Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah, I think it's sad to say, but I think I'm done with festivals now. Too old.
There is a bit of that. The only one I ever wanted to go to was Glastonbury. It's the only one I ever wanted to go to because it's got the name and it's kind of timeless. I didn't want to go to some festival that got fucking bought out and rebranded 2 years later. Glastonbury was the only one I wanted to do, and I didn't go until I was about 26, and I went 2 years in a row. And the first year, apart from a bit of rain on the first day, was then suddenly like a heat wave. The ground got really hard. It was a right heat wave. Second year was a bit of a washout. Not one of the biblical washouts, but pretty bad. And the second year, I thought, I'm not cut out for this, because even that second year, I was getting really sick of it. The lineup wasn't as good. The weather was getting on my tits. And I'm not built to not shower like that and stuff like that. There are showers there, but you got to queue for them, and it's a bit of a nightmare. And by the last day, when you're going to use a portaloo that doesn't have any flushing facilities, it's pretty fucking rank.
Plus, it's getting out there as well.
Yeah, it's just I had enough of it now. I'm tense. I can't be doing with it. But I'd have to do something a little bit more glamping, I think, if I ever went to one now. It is a bit of that. Yeah, I'm too old. Well, I'm not too old in that there were loads of people there who were way older than me, but they were probably more sort of outdoorsy types than me to start with.
I might go.
I've been there in extremes of weather, and the extremes are not good.
I might go as a family kind of thing. And that kind of years down the line. I might take my kids to go if I'm fucking loaded enough. But But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think I've
Yeah,
been.
the family fields are like you. If you go in the family field, you're right near the flushable toilets that have like proper hand washing facilities and stuff like that. We're not talking about like we're not going to go unless we've got like power showers. I don't mean that, but at least you can like improvise a few things to keep yourself a bit cleaner and all the rest of it. And you might not be in a tent. You might be in like a little like caravan type thing.
Yeah.
That's better as well. Because the other thing in the summer is what you don't realise is how fucking hot tents get.
Yeah, that's just it.
And
Everything just comes a mission, really, doesn't it? It's just.
I'm not. That's all. I can't be bothered with like the bits that are a bit of a pain in the arse. I don't think I can be bothered with, but I'm really, really glad I went. And like, I wouldn't ever rule it out again. But if I went, I can't go in the same way I went when I was in my mid-20s. I'd have to like figure out a slightly different way of doing it.
And part of that is actually sort of like the bands. Like obviously, 'cause as you get older, like
you get out of touch.
The bands just lose less appeal to you.
Yeah, you get out of touch. I mean, that even happened. I mean, when I went, there was still plenty of stuff. Just the second year I went, the lineup was bollocks, with a few exceptions.
Which one was that?
Which year did I go? I went 2003 and 2004. If you look it up.
Okay.
Oh.
So the first year headliners were REM, Radiohead, Moby.
Wow.
Second year headliners were Oasis, Paul McCartney,
Muse.
And I think it might have been Basement Jaxx actually.
Yeah.
No, I think it was Muse. That I think.
No, I think it was Basement Jaxx.
Oh no. Okay, maybe. Because it wasn't that going to be Kylie, and then it got changed to.
No, that was the following year.
Yeah, because then she got the
breast
diagnosis,
cancer.
didn't she? And then had to cancel for 15
years.
years.
That was 05, I think. Yeah.
I remember doing
the
Glastonbury
headline
in
acts were
like
just
09 and 10. That was pretty cool.
Strength of Debt wasn't as good. Mind you, 2004 was the year I saw James Brown.
Ah.
I'm really glad I went, but like I'm wildly fucking out of touch now anyway with music, and I think that can happen as you get older.
It taste though, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think part of it is I do have this theory that we've all got a dominant art form. We've all got a dominant art form, and what I mean by that is you can like books, you can like music, you can like film, you can like theatre, but there's one that stands out for you, and it's normally the one you make an effort to stay up to date with, and that's film for me.
Yeah.
Now, I if it had been music, I'd be more up to date with music. I wouldn't necessarily be as in touch, and I would have different tastes than younger people and stuff, but I would know more of what's what. And I just don't, because I've got music for every fucking conceivable mood, and so I've stopped investigating newer stuff. Whereas like film, I'm perfectly well up to date. You know, it's that really. I'd rather go to a film festival. Bit more fucking comfortable for a start.
Not always. You sat in like a sort of chair for ages.
Yeah. It appeals to me more, but again, I'm in the wrong part of the world. I'd love to go to the London Film Festival or something, but I'd have to go and stay up there, and staying in London's well fucking expensive.
No, I remember that. I think it's the first and the only year that I did that, and I kind of learnt the hard way where to sit at a review. I was just like, I can't sit at the front because James King sits there. I can't sit at the... Oh, bloody hell, that was a nightmare. But yeah, no, I'm glad to have done that experience.
What you sat in James King's seat?
Yeah, there's one screening we went to, and I just thought, oh, there's nobody else here, I'm going to sit. And he was like, oh, excuse me, can I sit there? I was like, oh, sorry. I'm James King. Oh dear. But yeah, no, it's I think having done Gusto and everything, I think, well, I can't afford it anymore. It's pricing out, sadly. But yeah, I think anything like that. And plus, I don't like to camp so much. Luckily, we stayed in the B&B and got to go just there and back every day.
I
couldn't do the same.
If I was with the right person in life who was interested in some of this stuff, my horizons would broaden, because I've always been an indoor guy because of fucking films and shit like that, and only child and so on. But I'd love to meet someone who went out and did a lot of these things, and I would join in and like have my horizons broadened. So it's not that I refuse to fucking do these things, but I'm not a camper. I'm really not. I'm not a fucking roughing it guy. I'm just not.
No, well, you aren't really. So
I suffered it when I went to Glastonbury, and I did it quite happily. You do sort of tune into it.
It depends on your upbringing as well. Because that's interesting. You say like indoor person being an only child. I think you can be any child and be an outdoor person, and also you can have siblings and be indoors as well. It just depends on your upbringing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think you're the sort of like person who likes to go camping or not.
Yeah, I don't
not
like the idea that much. So I suffered it for Glastonbury, and after a day or two, you're tuned into it anyway. It's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not there on the Saturday going, "This is fucking miserable." I was having a great time, but
yeah, and then by
you
Sunday,
get
I was
home
like, I don't want to leave. Like, yeah.
and you tidy yourself up, and then you think back on it, and you go, "Yeah, I don't want to do that again." the price
It just depends, really, isn't it?
progression
It's all
has
part of the
been phenomenal.
experience.
The price progression at Glastonbury's phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
If you look what it costs now compared to what I paid only 15 years ago, it's phenomenal. They just suddenly started like accelerating the price.
It's a tenner each year, isn't it, or something like that now?
It's probably a little bit more. I mean, even like the 2 years that I went, it jumped up in price in that short space of time.
What years did you go?
09, 10, I think.
09 and 10. Yeah, they'd already started going up dramatically by then. When I went...
But then I was working full time, so...
I'm just going to see. Yeah, it does look like it's a tenner ago.
Yeah, I went 09, 10, 11 and 13. I mind it.
Oh, so I didn't see you, Chris. Sorry about that.
It's alright. I don't think we knew each other then.
No.
Very rude of you, Becca.
Yeah.
No, but I think last time I went was like when Rolling Stones played, and I think they were like the only really major one I was actually really keen on seeing. Yeah. And it was just one of those things where, like, funny enough, I lost my tent on the way back. And,
oh no!
I kind of took that as a sign saying, "Yeah, you're done," because I feel like I was just in my early 30s.
I had to borrow that stuff. I don't have tents and shit like that, so I had to borrow it off people, and I don't know.
Yeah, but I kind of took that as a sign of saying that, you just see the Stones, so right. I think
tickets will cost £265 plus booking fee. Payable would right, so you can pay it in instalments. Basically, it's £270.
You can do it in chunks, but still.
When I went, it was about 125, and that in itself had grown doubled in a decade. We expect prices to go up. We're aware, like, fucking inflation's a thing. I'm not. Complaining
it's going to stay the same.
But it accelerated quite quickly in the 4 or 5 years after I went. It just did. I'm
also, you kind of got like the upkeep of the site as well.
I'm sort of surprised it's only 265 now, although that's a lot. It's kind of double what I paid, and it is only double.
It is like going on holiday though, really, because it's like the time you have to take off.
Food. The food there's quite expensive.
Food, travel.
Food, travel.
You've
got accommodation if you don't.
You're paying at least 450 quid.
And then if you do, some festivals like Reading and Leeds, for example, they had sort of like glamping tents, but they're sort of a couple of hundred.
Oh, you can do similar at Glastonbury, but it's really expensive.
Yeah, I appreciate it is part of the experience.
And then you roll in a dice on what the weather's going to be like. Whether you're going to be like
that's kind of what puts me off now. I'm not good in shit weather. I will admit that. Like, I'd love to be more outdoorsy than I am, but I'm not good in weather. I don't like standing out in fucking rain and stuff. I really don't. In fact, the second year, I did go and see plenty, but like I spent a lot of time in the comedy tent, like the second year.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to stand in the field getting pissed on.
And they had like a cinema tent and everything as well.
Yeah, they had all that. Although the cinema tent's quite a way away from where we were. We were like Pennard Hill Ground, is it? We were the field.
Okay,
we were the field over from the Stone Circle.
Well, it's a huge sprawling site, isn't it? So
amazingly, Dave plonked himself near the drugs.
Well done. You got the best spot in the house.
I have not taken anything illegal for fucking years. Not that my listeners would care, but yeah, I camp near the drugs.
So anyway, we just talked about festivals over like probably like the film's biggest set piece.
Yeah.
And the death of like one of the major villains. So.
Yeah, that's when she was dressed as Liberace stroke General Zod.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she wanted him to write down that she was the best sex ever.
Yeah, so that's when she went really fucking OTT, we're overboard. Like, I'm mad as a hatter. See, that...
Yeah, but some of us don't need to, like, ask people to write that down. This just arrives in the mail, whether you want it or not.
Is that the guy... Is Largo's butler, is that the one you said looks like Dalton?
The one that looked like Dalton was just in... as Domino was walking through the sort of arcadey bit of the casino, there was a guy at a machine behind her that looked like Dalton did in License to Kill. Only in passing, if you look quite quickly, sort of thing.
I'm just in a bit of a Bond in the dancing studio, playing music very loudly.
Oh, this is where he finds the sort of... Oh, no, he's on the boat. Oh, yeah, no, this is where he finds the sort of spunk sprayed area.
It's very high tech considering. It's just like
just Disco Volante just sounded so much better than Flying Saucer, didn't it? Anyone?
Well, considering it's a direct translation.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but the untranslated sounds better. Disco Volante.
It sounds more exotic, doesn't it?
This sounds better. Well, you see
rather than UFO.
Sorry, classy observation. I'd said it out loud before I realised you can see her nipples through that.
Side boob.
I meant to think it though. I meant to use my inner
Use your inner monologue, Dave.
I meant to use my inner monologue, but clearly I must have been frozen.
About that. My voice.
I can see her nipples.
Genuinely, that's not a joke. I meant to say it in my head, and then realised I just voiced it.
It's good that you're amongst friends and you're not like on the bus or something in the morning going, I can see
it.
Yeah,
at least you're not releasing it on the internet or anything.
Yeah, no. Only you two will ever hear this. Fucking hell.
I can see you. No.
And of course, unless we want a long period of silence on the recording, I've got to leave this in because of time. It's on the film. So yes, I accidentally blurted out that I could see her nipples.
It's fine. Nobody else will never know.
Not that you were lucky, Dave.
To be fair, well, it was very, very noticeable. It's you can see it there, Chris. She's just gone over to the thing. See it there, look. They're both looking at the sort of pennant thing.
I mean, security's very lax, isn't it? I mean, Bond's just wandering around like she's doing.
I know, and that's meant to be some priceless thing, and it's just left there hanging. Yeah. The film's lost its momentum completely now.
So he's on the boat. He's trying to get back to MI6, while Largo is just smashing the place up because he's in a how dare you.
Right. He's still kissing Kim Basinger right now.
Oh,
although
okay.
He's pointedly looking at the mirror, so he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Obviously, he would do because he's found that room. And Largo's like, you fuckers. That axe might be useful later. First time I sort of noticed it's above the door like that. I think this film also suffers. Yeah, I mean, it's remaking Golden Era Bond. Now, what you think is best era Bond is very much personal taste, because like Spy Who Loved Me is a lot of people's favourite, so you might like the mid-70s or something, but there's no doubt the Bond series at its peak and its most popular and everything was the mid-60s. Sean Connery is probably still the iconic James Bond if you had to name one. And so it's remaking the Golden Era. But what makes it worse is Thunderball might be the most exquisitely designed of those films. The set design in Thunderball's beautiful. And of course, this really isn't in the same way. So yeah, there's our show notes sorted. Dave forgets his indoor voice.
That's one from the trailer. I can see it.
It just sounded like, it must sound to anyone listening that like it's a contrived comedy bit. I promise it isn't. We talk offline quite a lot, the three of us, and like
No, listeners, Dave is really like that.
They will back up that I'm totally like that, but they will also back up that I've been complaining for a few days that I'm tired because I can't sleep. I'm having a terrible spell of insomnia, and in fact, we're late recording tonight, basically because one of our number forgot, which is easy done, but
it's fine.
Not pointed at all, Chris.
To be fair, you have had a busy week, Chris. So it has been a lot of,
Genuinely, it was based on us agreeing on Friday night that we were going to record on Sunday. And I was so tired. The only point I'm making is I could not remember if I'd imagined it, misunderstood it, misheard it. My brain, I'm not thinking particularly straight at the moment. I'm just absolutely like fogged with tiredness. So yeah, me blurting that out a minute ago was totally like, oh shit, I said that out loud.
Nope.
Why is like the sweater rolled across your shoulders and tied? Like, why is that always a douchey look?
I think he has seen the episode of Coronation Street where Ken Barlow was dating Alma Sedgwick and went on a picnic with her dressed like that and thought, that man's had a ton of pussy. I think I will dress the same way.
Sean Connery's eyebrows do not match his hair.
That's been bugging me the whole film.
I had noticed. I was too busy looking to see if I could see his nipples through his shirt clearly.
Oh, no.
What else has Kim Basinger been in? She's been in Batman, LA Confidential.
9.5 weeks. Blind Date with Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Which
is a one-joke film. Don't get her drunk, she goes crazy. Great! And then she's a nutcase for the entire film. She was in the remake of The Getaway with Alec Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
Which I've not seen. But it was because the original was a real-life couple as well, because it was Stephen Queen and Lally McGraw.
Oh, yeah, she was married to Alec Baldwin.
She was, yeah.
Alec Baldwin.
They had a really, really cantankerous divorce. Really, incredibly nasty.
They were married for a while, weren't they?
I think they were married for about 10 years or so. But yeah, they can't be around each other now. It's pretty bad, apparently. I'm just going to look her up, actually, because she's got other things I can't think of in her filmography. She's not at all a bad actress. She didn't make it that young, i.e., she wasn't really a name before this film, and she's already in her 30s. Not old by any means, but just like she wasn't a big star at like 19 or something. Well, she was in 50 Shades Freed. I didn't know that. I hadn't seen it. And she was in 50 Shades Darker. She's obviously a feature in
That's
those
one
films.
Series you guys are going to have to do on your own.
That's creepy. That's creepy. Me and Chris doing like, can we do that with Kim Bond's film, Chris?
I'm not touching that.
Not that we're suddenly going to talk like that, but she was in The Nice Guys, which I have seen now, Chris. We talked about that on a summer review, and I hadn't seen it, but I saw it a few months afterwards. She was in 8 Mile. I remembered she'd been in that. LA Confidential, Pret-a-Porter, which obviously was that a Robert Altman film? I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
The Getaway.
My Stepmother's an Alien.
I remember that film.
Yeah, she's been in a few like 90s fellas like Final Analysis. That's like with Richard Gere.
I mean, she was in stuff when she was younger, but it was all like TV and the odd episode. I'm saying her film career didn't really kick off in earnest till around here. 9.5 weeks until LA Confidential was probably the film she was most famous for.
And Batman, but then.
Well, until Batman, then, rather. That's probably a better way to put it. Forgot about Batman for a minute. That was meant to be Sean Young, but we know. No, sorry, Sean Young was meant to. Yeah, no, that is right.
Yeah, Sean was meant to be in it, yeah.
I got confused with Catwoman there. No, she tried to become Catwoman afterwards. She like turned up in full homemade Catwoman outfit and things like that. She's a bit of a head case. I mean, it's really funny. You go and watch like the special features for like the Batman film, and she's on them with a Bat logo behind her. Sean Young. She's like, you weren't even in it.
Yeah.
This section of the film I struggle to remember very well, just because I just remember always getting very bored during it.
Yeah. Well, the problem is you just have like the bike chase bit, and you think the film's going to sort of wind up to its climax, and it's like, no, we're going to have another bit of plot
That was the
exposition.
highlight. Although when you listen to the commentary, you find out how compromised that bike chase was. They never knew what they were getting. You know, Kirshner or whoever would ask for a bike that could do X, and they'd be promised it, and when it would turn up, it couldn't do X. Or at least make sure it's got this on it. We want something that looks like that, and when it would turn up, it didn't. So most of the time, they were kind of improvising what they would be able to do. And that against the background of having to say at every stage to 3 or 4 different interested parties, can we do this?
Yeah, sounds like a mindfuck, really, doesn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
So in some respects, McClory got what he deserved because he was obsessed with all this. It ruined his life.
Yeah. I just think like you'd probably be better off if he just struck a deal with Eon.
Yeah, be a minority shareholder or do a deal for some subset of Bond you might be able to do something with. Because his case always sounded really thin. And in fact, I think he got a lot further because of Eon's natural caution, and which I'm not criticising them for, by the way. You know, they were going to use Blofeld in The Spy Who Loved Me, and they didn't. And it's like, well, that never actually got tested in court at that stage that they couldn't. But the very fact that they didn't almost gave it by default to McClory, if you like. Well, if Eon is saying we'd best not use Spectre and Blofeld, then you're effectively saying you don't believe you should be using it, or you're scared to use it, so you at least think I might own it.
So kind of egged on by Eon.
Egged on's the wrong word, but certainly their reticence probably emboldened him. But they're running a one property business. They're going to be cautious.
Egged on non-deliberately, kind of thing, and it wasn't like don't think, I might have something
inadvertently
here.
Encouraged, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, he kept announcing different things. Back in the 90s, he said there was going to be a TV show, like 26 one-hour episodes, and you know, whenever it got tested in court, he was basically, well, you can remake Thunderball as much as you like, as long as it's the book. So, but you can't make a film series out of that. So there was clearly a disparity between what he thought he had, what he really had. And I just think it's an insult. He worked on one script with McClory and Jack Whittingham, who he never gave any credit to. Jack Whittingham got cut out of all of this. And he gets... he worked on one script for an already established character. It's just that story, he argued, was the basis of the cinematic character, who is different from the literary character in like some of his manner, you know, in his manner. And also that book obviously invented Blofeld and Spectre. So he just claimed he had a right to it. It's like, I don't get it. I've never quite understood his case. To me, if he's been ripped off, then that's satisfied by making him a producer on the cinematic version of Thunderball. On top of that, you might have given him a cut of book profits, and maybe that's it. I'm really not sure where this shit came from. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It is crazy to think he was still wanting to do it as well.
I do consider myself a diehard Bond fan, but I do also recognise that there are way more committed Bond fans than me, and I would think Becca's one of them as well. I mean, a lot of the reason I don't go to JBR things is distance and where it is, but if it was on my doorstep I wouldn't go as much as Becca does. It's just not, you know, I can't live in one character that much. But I do consider myself a diehard Bond fan, but there is a degree of fandom beyond mine that really can't deal with this film existing, and I get why. I get why. This film should never, ever have happened.
I'm glad it did, though. Gives us something to talk about.
Yeah, but the only thing that the thing that helps is that the official Bond film this year is just one of my very least favourite. This is one of the worst effects in cinema history.
That's a bit of a dodgy effect, that one.
Look
I
at
must
that.
admit.
Look at that.
Even
Look at that.
Even for 1980s.
Yeah, the horse is falling now. Well, it's not.
Yeah,
is it?
even for 1983.
Yeah.
I mean, that would actually kill them, though, wouldn't it?
Well, it's just the projection where you get a shot of their face just as they go over.
Yeah.
That looks terrible, and then the horse falling is clearly superimposed. You can't do it for real. I understand that, but if you can't do it, don't do it. And that didn't work. Some of the stunt work where it's not Sean and that's obvious, but even then, it still looks closer than Roger. It's still better stunt work than Roger Moore's, or closer stunt work.
You can see her nipples.
I've already
sorry.
seen yesterday's news. Use your indoor voice, Chris.
In a monologue.
In a monologue.
I think you say indoor voice. That just makes me even more ruder. Because I'm not like getting in and out.
I don't mean indoor
Chris
voice.
doesn't have an indoor voice.
Yeah. I don't mean it's just a funnier phrase. I
Yeah.
don't mean your voice. Becca's right, it's in a monologue, but it just sounds funnier.
Problem controlling that one about my voice.
And he's having a hot, steamy shower.
Steamy.
Oh yeah, I remember that. We're not at that yet. Oh yeah, now we are. It's under the shower now. The yeah. So looking forward, how far away is Austin Powers? Let's have a look. Austin Powers. We're going to do it as commentaries, but that comes after Planet of the Apes, which is we start the Terminator next week. Then we got John Wick, Fast and Furious, Spider-Man, Lethal Weapon, Planet of the Apes, and we'll do the Austin Powers film after that.
Good.
So it'll be a year or so away, but we'll do them.
Yeah.
Becca's been asking since the start. We can't just keep saying no. In fact, we've never.
You can bump
said,
it down. Bump it down. It's
Well, to
fine.
be fair, we never said no. It's just that
You
the
never
other
said
series.
You never said never.
What we actually said was not sure how that would work, but then we went, let's do commentaries because they're not reviewable films. Not in that way. You can do a short written review, but you can do a 2-hour podcast critiquing.
Yeah.
But we could just do
You
commentary.
could. I don't see what the problem is with that.
You'd have nothing to say, Becca. I might be wrong. It's only an opinion because I've gone into shows thinking we'll have loads to say and we've struggled and vice versa. So you never know for certain
Yeah.
until you do it. But
You could assess all the different spy film pastiches. But no, I think they're more suited to commentaries, definitely.
Yeah.
So let's do that. It's another one where we may skip the Bond commentary around that time as well, because otherwise that would be 5 commentaries in a row.
Or
Yeah, so we'll probably skip, Bond. I think after that we go on to board or something like that. Let's get ahead of ourselves. We'll start the Terminator next week, which I watched yesterday. I'm going to do a couple of viewings of it, but I did watch the Terminator yesterday. I watched the Terminator and 2 Rambo films, basically.
oh yeah, there's a new Rambo coming out.
Well, I've got the written review of it, so I'd need to watch the originals again.
Yes.
And you got that new Brad Pitt film coming out as well.
Ad Astra, I'm watching.
Yeah, that looks really good.
I'm not down to review that. I'm sure if I looked, probably no one is, and I could put myself down. But no, I've got one that week. I'm seeing her. What I was going to do was see Rambo next week and assume Ad Astra will last more than a week and see it the following week. But a friend of mine said, let's just go both nights. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll see Rambo on Friday and Ad Astra on Saturday, and then we'll record the Terminator on Sunday. He's still been underused, hasn't he, Felix, even in this one?
Yeah.
Well, he's always just a side character. It's like, hello, how can I help? You need backup in any way? Okay, here we are.
Some films it's better than others. I mean, some films it's ludicrous. I mean,
Yeah.
The Living Daylights, I'm not even sure why Felix Leiter's in that film. At all. I don't get the point.
I mean, he's even bland anyways.
Yeah. But like some of them were all right. Jack Lord, Rick Van Nutter was all right in Thunderball. David Hedison's great. David Hedison's your favourite, isn't he, Becca?
Yes.
Can't disagree.
Yeah, I think he's kind of like ideal Felix. But then Jeffrey Wright's pretty cool as well. He's just very sort of like laconic, well, cynical Felix for a more cynical age.
Sanchez.
Epic Sanchez. Oh, God. Actually, I quite like these the cave sequences. It's pretty cool.
What, the underwater bits here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad leading up to something, but the problem is that the end fight ends with...
It's slow.
And
It is a bit of a slow burn.
And you can't always tell who everyone is.
Yeah.
I think it's like when people say, and I've said it, I've sort of said it, when people say, oh, we need to see Craig scuba dive. But that's if you treat Bond as a tick list. Like, well, he needs to do this. I'd love to see every Bond do this, and this.
Yeah.
Like, Roger Moore did all of them because he was in the role so long. Pierce did quite a few of them, given it's 4 films, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Daniel hasn't done it, nor has he skied properly. He's been in snow, but he hasn't skied. But then I'd look at it and I'd go, that is just treating it as a tick list.
Yeah.
Part of me doesn't want to see any Bond scuba dive because it's crap. Skiing's different. I'd love to. I like to see skiing sequences.
Or set at snow.
Yeah.
I still wish Craig had skied. I think his knee.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I think his knee.
That was one of the biggest disappointments.
He refused, and I don't think he refused to be a misanthrope. I think he refused because he had that knee problem, didn't he?
Yeah, it was more health grounds, I think. I don't know if we'll see it this time around for No Time to Die, but
I don't think there's anything in snow in this film.
I don't know.
So far. Well, I've seen quite a lot of set photos so far, and none of them have been snow yet. They're still they're filming in Masseur as we speak in Italy. They've done
that section of the film looks so beautiful. Everyone's going to go to Matera now as their holiday destination.
I've only got one problem with it. Fucking DB5 again. But
Get
again,
shot up, so we'll be all right.
Let's get it. Well, I don't need it to be shot up. I don't have a hate complex on the car. I just think it's lazy fan service.
Yeah, well, we'll see where it figures.
You got to give fans what they need, not what they think they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it figures.
That's the problem with Star Trek Discovery. A lot of the fans like it, and they like it because it's lazy as shit. Because it's giving them what they think they want, which is lots of callbacks to the original series and filling in bits. And it's like, well, if you were designing this afresh, you'd never put this shit in.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the DB5. We went without seeing that car for 30 years. Why are we seeing it every single time? The only way that I will forgive it this time is if that is pre-title and it literally follows on from Spectre. If it literally is like a time jump after that, then fine, because they drove off in the DB5 last time. But even then, it's got the wrong number plate on it.
It reminds me that some of the things that were said about the new Star Wars films, like particularly in terms of like the X-wings, like we see the X-wings because they're the most instantly recognisable ones. But where's the variety of the spacecraft out there? Like where's the other?
You don't encourage new designs, but you make your world smaller as well.
Yeah.
Like everything looks the same, but it's more the fact that Chris said it best when we were talking about Skyfall in the original series, where he said it's a series falling in love with itself. You can see it with Sherlock, you can see it with Doctor Who. It's constant little nods, references, and winks for fans. And it's like, well, fans could live without this stuff because they did for 30 years. And I think it's self-indulgent. And I just think also it happens to... I think on a personal note, it's Lionized the car I'm not that fond of anyway. It's like there are other Astons. As much as I care about cars, which ain't much, there are other Astons that we've seen in Bond films that I like so much more.
It's quite interesting. We haven't seen, obviously we've seen like the silver, the DB5, but I want to see more of the car from Living Daylights.
Well, we're going to see
that's
some
the
of that.
Aston I'm really looking forward to seeing in No Time to Die. Again, spoiler alerts, but
I would leave all of this fan service out because I think it speaks to a mindset that isn't healthy.
I'd rather, to be honest, I'm kind of holding reserving judgment on it. I'd rather see where it figures into the film.
What about any new cars? Why can't Bond drive any new cars?
Well, he did last time, briefly. in that.
He might drive
really
another
low
car, just that
cost.
we haven't seen it. It hasn't been released by the
Yeah.
press just yet.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, but why can't he drive like a new other fast car like that's all kitted out? You know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I just think it's bringing back the DB5 all the time is a bad idea. Becca's right on the caveat though, that it might follow on directly from the last film. There might be a reason for it. It might just be pre-title. You don't know.
We don't know.
If you
I've got a
go
feeling
into
that all the material stuff is
if you're going to
pre-title.
bring in legacy Aston Martins though, I would like to see more variety, because it strikes me that like putting the DB5 in all the time it's almost like fan service created by somebody who's only read the Wikipedia page on the series. You know, what was the biggest film? Oh, Goldfinger was the one where it was its most iconic. Oh, all right, what was the car in that? Let's use that. And you think, well, the critical darling in the series now actually is the Lazenby film. You think, well, use that one. That car's beautiful. It looks very like the Dalton one, actually.
But it's just a sign of a series dying. Like if you start to sort
it becomes a tribute act.
If you only reference yourself, you're just essentially creating your own tune because you're not moving forward. Because then days like you're not speaking to anyone else other than the fans.
It's like when people say,
and then the fans themselves actually start to get bored of it.
It doesn't draw in anyone new either.
Yeah.
I think the other problem is it's like, and I used to think this wasn't a bad idea, and then I thought about it and thought, no, it's a dreadful idea. Someone once said, a lot of people have said, Bond should go back and be in the 60s. Largely, it tends to be quite conservative types who go, all this PC shit. Let's put him back in the 60s. And I think, well, if you put him back in the 60s, you become a tribute act to yourself.
That's what Tarantino wants to do, wasn't it?
You're saying you've got nothing more to say than weren't we once great? Doesn't this evoke it? Tarantino wanted to set it in the Fleming era. He wanted to set it in the 50s. In fairness,
it would have been a one-off as well.
Yeah, it would have been a one-off, and it would have been a hybrid of lots of different things. It wouldn't have been a tribute to like Goldfinger. That's not what he wanted to make. He wanted to make it set in the 50s. And I think he wanted it black and white. It would have been a very, very different beast. Yeah, so little nods, okay. But when you think as well, in the last 5 Bond films, 2 of them have been big anniversaries, 2 of 40th and 50th, and they were so full of shitty fucking fan service, it was laughable. Particularly Die Another Day, where they just dumped all the props in the middle of the room.
And it's like crazy.
If all you've got is to congratulate yourself, then this series needs new blood. And if that means no Aston Martins, then so be it. But Becca's right. You got to see how it's used. But so far, the way they've used the Aston in the Craig era, not impressed.
Yeah, they just put too much emphasis on it. That's it. Yeah. I mean, we said it all before anyway. Like, should just keep it as like his car and just have it as a passing thing.
I didn't mind how it was used in GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never. No, GoldenEye did, because they made a big chase out of it, which I thought was ludicrous. The way it was used in Tomorrow Never Dies, where he just drove back to the office in it.
Yeah.
He phoned in Oxford. Right, I've got to get back there. See him heading to Whitehall with it.
His day-to-day car when he's out.
I like that because Bond is a bit old-fashioned and nostalgic as a human being anyway. He would be someone looking back to like a different time when men were men. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with that. But Skyfall, where they open the garage door and it's like, it's like, oh, fuck off.
It's like, let's all just wank off now, shall we?
Yeah.
There
was a thematic reason to have that car there, but even then, the filmmaking really just went on. Look, we're giving you a present.
Oh, God.
Christ, this film's fucking boring. No wonder we've gone off the point.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like
that's a quite a poorly built set as well.
Funny enough, there's a lot to be said for the underwater photography as well.
Funny enough, this is like one of the first things I remember, like earliest memories of a Bob film. I can
think of. Well, we did think we were hedging our bets, but we do think this may have been the first Bond film you ever saw.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
At least the end of it.
Becca, what was the first Bond film you ever saw? Not theatrically, I mean full stop.
Oh, there's a question.
See, I was amazed you two don't know, particularly Becca, because we're all big Bond fans. But if you had to like rank
Well,
our
for me,
fans,
it's
Becca's the biggest
between
fan of
two.
the
It obviously would have been like ITV on a bank holiday. I say it was either Spy Love Me or View to a Kill. I think
Right, okay.
one of the two.
Well, you
But
saw
I
it
can't
pop
say
up in the
they're quite close
title
together,
credits,
maybe.
and it's always Spy Who Loved Me era, so it could be anyone. Yeah.
Because the thing for me is though, is like I would have like watched like probably parts of it on TV, and it would have been something that my dad would have gone, it's James Bond, and it would have been something that just would have crept in. So I have no clear like memory of watching a Bond film for the first time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So because it happened so early on.
I understand that, particularly when they have seasons and they're on every week. With me, I do remember because I remember where I was, when it was, etc. Because it was actually Christmas Day.
So that's a great time to watch.
And actually, I was just sort of testing my memory because I've got an unusually good memory anyway. But if I just look it up, excuse the typing, Christmas TV 1984. I found the listings. I actually went to find the listings because when I told you the story online, on an episode, I remember saying to you that what it was I wanted to watch Mary Poppins because I was 8, and my mum wanted to watch Mary Poppins, but the men in the house insisted on watching The Man with the Golden Gun. So I looked up the schedules to see if I was accurate on that, and sure enough,
There it is.
Christmas Day on BBC One, 1984, was 3:10 after the Queen's speech, Mary Poppins. And if you look at I'm just looking for ITV in the same. That's Christmas Eve. Hang on a minute. I should have got this lined up better. Hang on. On Christmas Day at 3:10, so the exact same time after the Queen's speech, Man with the Golden Gun on ITV.
There we are. That was obviously the choice.
Yeah. So I watched Man with the Golden Gun.
Right.
Christmas Day.
Good old Christmas Day.
So I know my relationship with James Bond started at 3:10 on the
Christmas Day.
On the 25th of December 1984. I even know the minute.
Good for you. Well done.
And it started with Roger Moore, picking out a bullet from
I was too
a
busy
belly.
being 6 months old, so I can't really tell you, unfortunately.
It started with a shit Bond film as well, because The Man with the Golden Gun, it has its defender, or every Bond film has its defenders.
Even Die Another Day.
But because of Scaramanga, Man with the Golden Gun is like almost universally thought to be a weaker one, but it's a favourite for some people because of Nick Nack and Scaramanga.
It is cooler when you're a kid though. Like Man with the Golden Gun is like
Nick Nack's kind of cool when you're a kid and stuff. And that little island, having your own little fun house and shit like that. It's quite a bad film. I mean, at least it's sort of peak era Roger, because I mean, like as I say, my main problems. He's not my tone, the goofiness, and I don't like how fucking sleazy he is. That's the problem I've got. That I think it's just a personal thing that I grew up with someone a bit sleazy, so I struggle with Roger trying to fuck everything. It's ridiculous.
It's not quite that bad.
But it gets worse.
You're making it out to be a little bit worse than what it was.
It gets worse as he gets up. By A View to a Kill, it's ridiculous. But even in Moonraker,
yeah, she is so much younger than he is.
He's undressing that woman without any like consent or interest at all. I find it unpleasant. But
by the way, Dave, I can see your nips.
Early Robin was okay.
Also, there's like with the tiger costume as well. There's a maybe a bit of a crotch shot there, so it's a bit.
Where in this film?
What camel toe?
Just a little bit.
Which film? This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she's in the pool at the end with the tiger costume on. A swimming costume, obviously not.
I'll look out for that.
Good baby, very good.
Very good. Also, looking at the credits, Norman Wanstall worked in this film.
Oh, hang on, you're not at the. You can't be at the credits already.
No, I'm not.
We're still underwater
here.
Looking
at the credits on IMDb.com. So there has to be other Bond connections, and obviously you've got Vic Armstrong arranging the stunts, and Norman Wanstall, dubbing editor. So how about
That's
that?
funny
Legendary.
because I remember when Norman Wanstall first watched Goldfinger, because it's in the time we've known him.
Mm.
And he was on Facebook openly
Yeah.
saying he watched Octopussy one night and took to Facebook to slaughter it. Right?
Mm,
He was totally like, that is not Ian Fleming's James Bond. That's an
No.
embarrassment.
he's more Bond purist, isn't he?
And then I thought, yeah, you weren't working on it, were you? You were off doing something else.
You were doing something
this.
better.
You were doing something better in
No.
my opinion, but that's not to say good, though. They're at the pool now, so...
But no, he's a legend. He's a very nice guy.
Norman Wanstall's a lovely man.
I held his Oscar.
He's got some opinions of his generation, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't mean that to be nasty. He doesn't ever say anything racist or anything, but he's a very like conservative type, but he's a real lovely man.
Yeah, if you ever ends up speaking about his career, this is if you ever get the chance to go and hear him speak about his time on the Bonds and his time in the film industry.
Yeah.
Please do.
And he will forever be the first Academy Award the series ever won.
Mm.
Sound editing for Goldfinger. That is such an insert from a studio, that.
That is, yeah, you can obviously tell.
Where she throws him in the water, but the way he was walking through, the Eden Project or something years ago.
It is a little bit like that.
This character's fucking pointless.
See, it would have been better if he just played it like a Blackadder type. Like
just speak normally, because this voice isn't funny. That's the thing. He's put this on as a comedy voice, and it's not funny.
Yeah, which is odd because Rowan Atkinson usually can make like.
Oh, I didn't see the camel toe. Oh.
It's more of a kind of crop shot style, yeah, I think.
Still, I saw two nipples for one camel toe. Yeah, the fair exchange. So we are now into credits. I don't know what to make of that film. The first half's okay. The first half's all right. It lacks all the Eon touches, but like Connery's engaged, and there's a couple of bits that are better. Robert Rietti's in that film as Italian minister, but there's a couple of bits that are better. Like the whole reason for being at Shrublands makes more sense, and things like that. And I think on balance, this Domino's better. The other one was like kind of an untouchable beauty, incredible, beautiful woman, but like bland. So it's not all bad. I prefer the Largo here. I appreciate that's not a completely universal view, but it just loses its way. They don't know what they're doing with Fatima at all, and the last sort of hour of the film is actually really boring.
Yeah, I think it does drag at the end, doesn't it? Really, there's nothing. Yeah. I mean, it starts off okay.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah.
But there are worse Bond films. If you want to count it as a Bond film, I get why you might not.
Another Day.
Yeah, Die Another Day is a worse film than this. I might prefer to watch Die Another Day though, because it's more fun. Or it's more fun to laugh at it. I don't know. It's a better film than it's a better film than Die Another Day.
If we all got together, we'd probably watch it.
Oh, we'd put Die Another Day on in a heartbeat, the three of us, if we were in the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be like when there's
In fact,
what was it? Mystery Science Theater 3000.
That's what we'd put on first, though, because we wouldn't agree anything else. Because you and I have got to put License to Kill on, and Becca likes it, but I don't think it's like absolutely her favourite or anything. So she'd be like, "Oh, well, right."
If I remember.
We'd all agree Die Another Day.
It's the Bond equivalent of a Christmas cracker joke. So bad that everyone agrees that it's terrible.
That's true. I think you summed it up perfectly.
It's like sticking on a Carry On film.
You know what you're getting.
Yeah. I think the effects might be better.
But which one?
Camping, obviously.
Not Carry On Screaming, no?
I don't remember that one. I mean, I know they're all essentially the same film, but I don't remember that one.
Well, not Carry On Matron.
I used to date someone who adored the Carry On films. We weren't together that long though, so I never got to like watch her enjoy them. But yeah, she had the whole box set of all of them. I'm not looking down my nose at that at all. It's just it was incongruous. It surprised me. I don't meet many Carry On fans, particularly our generation.
Mm.
Yeah. So That in it, because I'm a bit nostalgic for that, I can almost like build up a bit of nostalgia for them because it makes me think of her. But yeah, it's still like I don't meet many Carry On fans.
And there we are, got the shittest DVD screen ever.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I've got a little bit further to go. You're both on PAL, and we knew Becca
Yeah.
was, but you're whatever you're watching is PAL as well. And they're still running through now. Elstree Studios, that was recorded now.
How about that?
So yeah, I mean, it's not as classy a piece of work as there's a part of me that almost would like to watch Octopussy now just to get those Eon touches again. Do you know what I mean? Because this film just missed something, didn't it?
Yeah.
Sean ain't enough. Barbara said that on the Everything or Nothing thing. He said, there's a lesson. You can't just throw Sean Connery at it and that's it. You know, it's all of its production history and tropes and little touches and things that have built up over time. You can't just put Sean Connery on the screen in a completely unrelated thing and say it's the same thing. It isn't.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe part of it, that part of the success of the franchise is part of the attachment to everything else. But you have to do enough.
That's where you got to walk a fine line.
Yeah.
That's why I think with the DB5, I understand the instinct that.
But again,
for
the DB5, it's the same argument for Sean. You can't just throw a DB5 at something. It's not just the fact of one particular thing. It is like the tropes. It is like, I mean, yes, you have the gun barrel, but
every time you have the gun barrel, you're evoking your own history.
But it's Bond gets a mission. It's the Q scene, and you don't have like the same things happen each time. It's a different environment, different gadgets.
People have more emotional attachment to cars in some cases, and they're quite sexy things to some people. So it isn't the same thing, but. To use a silly example to illustrate how stupid it looks to be bringing this thing back all the time. Imagine that harpoon from like Thunderball was just brought out in every film for no reason at all, other than remember this from Thunderball. It's a bit like that.
You get the point.
Yeah, it's exactly. Or he just forced that line in every time. I feel a bit that way about I'll Be Back from Terminator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bond has to introduce himself somewhere, so he may as well have a format and you make a bit of a catchphrase of it. I get that. But I'll Be Back being crowbarred into every Terminator film is now getting to the point that it's like, you've missed what about that line worked in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it worked because it was Arnold. I mean, that's the thing. It was like a thing he said in Terminator, then he said it in, I think, Commando.
I think where he was when he said it, how he said it, the subtext of him saying it. You know?
Yeah, and it just came like a catchphrase, and that's what it was. It was like Arnold's catchphrase. So I get it. I get, but
he started using it in every film. But I even saw it in the trailer for the new one, voiced by Linda Hamilton.
Yeah,
it's just like it's not that good a line. It only worked in the basis of
the thing. So I think it was only like up until like you reach into the early 90s where he kind of stopped, or it kind of started to die down, because when he did like Last Action Hero, that's when he was like taking a piss out of all that. You know, there's a line where he says like "I'll be back," and he goes, "You bet you didn't think I was going to say that, did you?" Because that's what you always say. You know, it was that was this kind of thing where he starts sort of like, I mean, like True Lies. I don't think he actually said it. I can't remember him saying it in True Lies. So there might be a conscious effort to kind of like knock that on the head after that. But
yeah.
But then obviously,
of course, then he went into politics, and his whole fucking speech making was based around like
you're terminated.
Yeah, that sort of thing. We'll terminate.
Get to the sharper.
Yeah, everything was like. Anyway, that's our last Bond commentary. Well, we're going to do another Bond commentary in about 7 or 8 weeks, because we've got another series coming. We'll bookend it. I know what my choice is next time. So, yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Do you know what my choice is? I'm not going to tell you on air, but do you remember?
I can't remember now.
I'll tell you off air in a bit. Because when Becca said I'm looking forward to that, it's like, well, I know she likes most Bond films, but it could be fucking anything.
Well, whatever it is, I'm looking forward to it.
I'll tell you off air.
Even if it's Die Another Day, which I know it probably won't be.
We've done Die Another Day, so
I know. It's not going to be that.
So anyway, as for social media, you can find me at the Pasty Kid 1976 on Twitter.
You can find all the episodes on cinematron.co.uk. We're all available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I think I said that right this time, and Google Podcasts, and all the rest of it. Yeah, so all the episodes are available on the website.
And you can follow us on Twitter at Expect Us to Talk, and on Facebook, Do You Expect Us to Talk, and also by the same name on YouTube, Do You Expect Us to Talk. If you want, you can drop us an email, expectustotalk@gmail.com.
So that's it. So Dave, I guess which film are we doing when we're back? When will we be back, Dave?
Yeah, you're talking to the wrong person, but you have only had nearly 5 years to learn the format of the show. Becca, sign us off.
Are you trying to say? Sorry.
Becca, what we back with?
We'll be back. There we are. I'll try to do all the really bad lines apart from the one that Edward doesn't want me to do, which I shall avoid.
Apart from the line that Arnold has never said.
Ever. Yeah.
Ever again. But yes, it's amazing. I'm quite excited for the series, actually. But yes, Do You Expect to Talk will return with our review series of The Terminator.